Let the bouncing begin! Collection, always does whatever. Very good friend collection, always up and together. A collection, always does whatever. Very good friend collection, and together. A collection, always does whatever. Very good friend collection, always accept and together. A collection, always does whatever. Very good friend collection, always very good friend, very good friend, very good friend. Repeat after Tigger. Tigger. Bounce and day. Bounce and day. Mrs. Kingdom. Bounce and day. Moving. Bounce and day. You let it all loose. Bounce and day. Bouncing the super duper. Bounce and day. Mrs. Kingdom. Bounce and day. There's something moving. Bounce and day. The Tinder. The collection always does whatever. Very good friend. The collection always accepted. The Tinder. The collection always does whatever. Very good friend. Collection. The Tinder. The collection always does whatever. Very good friend. The collection always accepted. The Tinder. The collection always does whatever. Very good friend. The collection always very good friend. Very good friend. Very good friend. Very good friend. Bounce and day. Bouncing the super duper. Bounce and day. Mrs. Kingdom. Bounce and day. But there's something moving. Bounce and day. Bounce and day. You bounce me all the time. Bounce and day. Mrs. Kingdom. Bounce and day. But there's something moving. Bounce and day.
Hello, 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 orcs and gamers. Welcome into another episode of Delicious Morning Nonsense. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hope you're all having a wonderful, fantastic day so far. I know this began for a lot of you, but I know it's been going on for others. So, either way, as always, hope you're having a fantastic day so far. We have some really interesting nonsense to go over. It's oddly enough, be- it's kind of Last of Us 2 related. I have some Last of Us 2 stuff to go over also, but I have some another video at the end. It's kind of anime related, mainly because it reminded me a lot of Last of Us 2 or the message of Last of Us 2. So uh, anyway, I think it's going to be pretty apt to go over that one. But before we begin, let's see here. Hello, everyone. I'm seeing everyone come in. Everyone comes. Hello, Mark in 3D. Hello, Mark in 3D. Hello, Nathan Break. Hello, Dr. Crow. Welcome, Dr. Crow. Aura Master DX. Hello, Aura Master DX. Hello, Burf. Hello, Semantic Dragon. Let's see. Chekhov's Antlers. Hello, Chekhov's Antlers. Hello, Johan or Johan. Hello. Let's see here. Tassalara Sun. Hello, Tassalara Sun. Welcome. Dilematicus. Yes, it was Pogo. Pogo was the opening song. Very interesting, very upbeat Pogo songs. I like those. Fantastic. They're very good openers. Very good openers. Get the blood pumping. I see Agent Yokai Zero. Hello, Agent Yokai Zero. Good morning, orcs and gamers. Well, hello, Agent Yokai Zero. And hello to you, all you wonderful orcs and gamers. Hello, Alex Sarge Lobo. Hello, God of Plague. Hello, Zofrats. Welcome to the chat. Let's see here. The Ace of Spades. Very nice song, by the way. Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning, Ace of Spades. Good morning, Gary Stu. Hello, everyone. Hello, Harry S. and Arch Madge. Welcome to the chat, Arch Madge. Good morning, chat, says Arch Madge. Well, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Let's see here. Okay, so where we go? Where do we go from here, chat? Where do you think we go from here? To the fun stuff. That's where. Ian O'Laughlin. Hello, Ian O'Laughlin. Gojira 387. Welcome back, Gojira 387. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Hello, Blue. Good morning, LD and Best Chat. Well, good morning, Blue. Welcome, welcome. Always Best Chat. Always Best Chat. It's been established and confirmed several times that this is, in fact, the best chat, as always. Hello, Joshua Buckle. Good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning, Joshua Buckle. And good morning, the Sorcerer. Yes, yes, good. Hello, the Sorcerer. Welcome, welcome. Criminal Imagination. Welcome, Criminal Imagination. Welcome. Let's see, Josu Feliciano. Just woke up. Good morning, all. Well, good morning to you, Josu Feliciano. Eskimophono, thanks for the 99 already. Appreciate it. Orcs, how dare you? How dare you? I forgot to get that clip. Zofras, this is where the fun begins? This is where the fun begins. Oh, the delicious, delicious naughty nonsense. Always the naughtiest stuff. Only the naughtiest stuff for morning nonsense chat. But anyway, before we begin,
this is where the fun begins.
Hello, Ryan. Hello.
This is never where the fun begins.
I've rolled out some nice torture implements. No, I mean fun things for us to go over today.
So is the lore of the live stream? It's all just a torture tool for the people stuck in your basement in 10th level hell.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought it was. I thought that was common knowledge. As Dandy Spike, aka Hack, give us the good stuff. Only the good stuff. Only the best stuff for best chat.
So are we going to mention what Favreau said?
Oh yeah, it's the first thing up. I want to start off with something positive and light. It's gonna be fantastic. So we have some good news to start off with, chat. Just good news before we dive into the actual nonsense. Baptist 702, welcome Baptist 702. I will never get tired of hearing more bagel theory. So much bagel theory ahead, chat. So much bagel theory. Hope you can stand it. See, Crewy, good morning, America. Well, good morning, Crewy. Good morning to you. Let's see here, NT Freeman. Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning, NT Freeman. Hello, hello, and good morning, Noble Commando. Hello, Noble Commando. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Okay, so something very interesting that happened. So we've been let's see here. Let's see. So what happened recently? It's been nothing but a tirade of weirdo celebrities is coming out and throwing people under the bus, right? Throwing fans under the bus. They're trying to, and the media, the shill media, trying to convince or kind of hint in their interviews to actors and creators and showrunners that they need to throw fans under the bus because that's the thing to do right now. Apparently, we saw this several times with other people. It was big ever since Ghostbusters came out. Yeah, fans complain they're all losers and just angry man babies. Then we saw this again with Star Wars, and we saw it again with Star Trek. Pretty much everything they want to protect. You're all angry man babies for being fans of it in the first place, and then complaining when they're trying to ruin it. And unfortunately, recently it came out that we saw the same sort of behavior from Filoni. Unfortunately, however,
that was only a one-off, though. It's only happened once in like its entire time at Lucasfilm.
It was a pretty big one, though. Luke just opened the door, though. Luke just opened the door. That's all he did. But fortunately, not everyone is ready to throw fans under the bus. For the first example was Henry Cavill, who was prompted to throw the fans under the bus and said, "No, I wouldn't call them toxic. I would call them passionate." And now, for all you Mandalorian fans out there, I have some more good news. Cavill's not the only one. He's not alone. He's not alone standing against a weirdo on the Hollywood elitist. See, Dr. Crow, Bagel Theory. Bagel Theory, Bagel Theory, Bagel Theory. And see, Agent Yokai Zero, thank you too. I'll hop on if you'll have me. Oh, sure, I'll just send it in a little bit. No problem.
Do you want me to send him the link?
Go ahead. There we go. Let's see. So we have some good news to begin with. So if you don't know, Jon Favreau. And I'm pretty sure Jon Favreau is the guy who voiced that one Mandalorian guy on Clone Wars, right? He was brought on.
Yeah, he voiced Pre Vizsla.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
He also voiced Post Vizsla in Mandalorian as well. It's with cameo.
Okay, so let's see here. Tyler Preston, Monolith is a drive-through of a coffee shop. Let's see. Well, welcome to Tyler Preston. Welcome. So let's see here. Let's see. So, Star Wars, the Mandalorian creator, Jon Favreau, believes that creatives should listen to fans more. Well, bravo, Jon.
What a horrible, toxic thing to say. You should listen to fans more.
Yeah, he's what a horrible,
the world
horrible
we live in today.
What an evil man. An evil man.
You're telling me that, fans are some kind of audience which have money and they pay money to see things on a cinema screen?
Same fans that who have invested time and money and passion into the thing that you have spent time, well, maybe not passion anymore, but certainly time and money into creating in the first place. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? And by the way, welcome Agent Yokai Zero.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, hello. Are we ready for some delicious nonsense today?
Of course.
And let's see. Escobafono, thanks for $9.99. Big dicks for Cavill and Favreau. Yeah, just swinging them around because if they had shriveled up man bits, so to speak, they had as Scarface in the movie said, they lacked the cojones. Okay, then they would be bowing down and say, "Oh yeah, just the fans are just toxic. The fans are just toxic. They just hate women." And Luke just opened the door to unleash the fury that was Leia. They would just be bending over backwards for these people, but not Favreau, not Cavill. They stuck with the fans, and hopefully that'll be remembered.
Well, it's because they are fans, really.
Yeah, they are fans. You could tell they're fans because, well, they're fans. Their passion is quite palpable. It's quite visible, and that usually occurs when someone is a fan of something. Let's see here. So, through here. Okay, so Favreau, he's I think as him having a good old time, it seems, on the set of The Mandalorian. Finally, some reason has appeared in the Star Wars camp. Unsurprisingly, from Jon Favreau, who created The Mandalorian and given fans more hope that someone finally gets Star Wars. So, I know there's been some trouble with The Mandalorian. People have disliked it. People have who dislike the TLJ and all that stuff. The people that we consider good guys. What was it? Doomcock. I know Mahler famously disliked The Mandalorian, but there are some problems, But the thing is, I always say, The Mandalorian so far only has had one season. Okay, and one season is kind of forgivable unless it's like Picard or something, because Mandalorian actually adheres to the lore. The only problem with The Mandalorian seems to be maybe some weak storytelling, some storytelling that could be better polished, better presented. It's not.
From the way I've seen a lot of arguments against it, it's mainly the first 3 episodes which start off fantastically, and then as it progresses, it starts to lose its coherency.
Then it really drops off, yeah. But it's just story-wise. That's what the people have complaints about it being story-wise, not really lore-breaking stuff. Not really, an insult to the fans or breaking the established characters for the sake of the creator's own ego, so to speak.
I'm pretty sure if you asked anyone who criticized The Mandalorian if they'd watched that or the sequel trilogy, they're going to say the sequel trilogy almost immediately. No, sorry, they watched the fucking Mandalorian.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch The Mandalorian over the sequel trilogy.
Exactly. So it's the main camp of. I'll give it another try. So to compare with Picard was lore breaking. It was an insult to this franchise, insult to the franchise's fans, and it basically took the character Picard and snapped it over the knee of someone's ego, and that was basically it. That's why it was so cringy. That's why so many people wrote it off almost immediately after the first season. Mandalorian, even though some people might have problems with it, kind of won over some hearts and souls. Kind of won over some goodwill by about its failings being story-wise and narratively connected, rather than hello fans, we hate you sort of thing, like they did with Picard, or the recent Doctor, or Star Wars or, or any of these other instances. So that's why I think Mandalorian is forgivable because it's just the first season. It didn't insult the fans. In fact, it appealed to the fans specifically. It got flack for appealing to fans, and it's just narratively weak in some places, which is I would say is true. But however, that's not a game breaker. It's not a deal breaker. I'm willing to sit through season 2 because the first season was acceptable to me. It didn't break any of the cardinal rules like insulting fans and all that stuff. So, like I said, it's like I always said before. First season of a show, you're going to have to expect something to be worked out. There's going to be some bugs because usually in the first season of a show, the show is still trying to figure out its identity. It's still trying to figure out where it's going to go and kind of trying to find itself more or less. People go to Europe or whatever to explore and find quote unquote find themselves. It's kind of like that. It's kind of for your first season of a show. It's trying to find itself, and that includes novel series or comic book series. The characters and the story and the elements and the themes are still trying to find themselves, trying to pinpoint what the authors and the writers and the creators are trying to convey in the first place. So that's why The Mandalorian season 1 I think is forgivable, while Picard season 1 is not. Picard, as I said, is a big middle finger to fans like The Last Jedi was to Star Wars fans. Let's see, Ruck and Sailors, 999. It felt like a top-heavy, back-heavy Netflix series. Yeah, a little bit. Mandalorian, it certainly did not give the oomph or the substance I think a lot of us were looking for. However, it was acceptable, which comparatively speaking, made it great, relatively speaking. But it does have a lot of room for improvement. And one of the things that was really disappointing was that although they used a really interesting storyline, which was the Seven Samurai storyline, and they kind of squandered it. It was just one episode. To get the real emotional weight of all of the stuff they try to put in that episode, it should have been like a season-long thing. Like he escapes, finds this village immediately, and then over the course of several episodes, because that's where a lot of binge-worthy shows kind of go anyway, is long-form storytelling as opposed to episodic storytelling. I see Nathan Brake, which is 5. Most shows take to the third season to get rolling. Yeah, more or less. Clone Wars is one. DS9 is another one. You can kind of, after you see DS9 all the way through for the first time, you can kind of skip season 1 and season 2 and jump right into season 3. Clone Wars is one, but also look at TNG Enterprise. All got good at the third season. Yeah, it usually takes around 3 seasons for a show to really start coming into its own. Usually, hopefully, it gets better before that. But yeah, that's usually what I've seen. Even with great shows like DS9 and New Who, really got rolling with the third season. They really found its own.
I don't know. In the New Who, I think it was still pretty well in the first season.
Oh, it was pretty good in the first season. It was, but it got better by maybe by the second and third. Because you could tell the first season they're still trying to feel things out, and then it got better. And by the third season, it got some really strong stuff. And then Moffat took over, and people have strong.
And then they gave up.
But Russell T Davies was really good. He really found him, and he was at a peak by the third season, I think. Isn't the third season the Master and all that stuff? I think we had that Master arc. We really brought back. I don't know. I have to figure it out again. But I mean, the second season.
I think the third season when they had Fat. Or was that? No, that was probably season 4 actually. They had Living Fat.
Was that the guy from Clom?
No, like the Living Fat with Donna.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the 4th season actually.
The Fabulous Donna. What's she called, the Runaway Bride or something? They tried to bring her back. Let's see here, but yeah, a lot of times it takes about maybe if we're lucky, the second season it'll come into its own, but usually by the third season it really starts coming into its own with shows. Let's see here. Okay, so this article be partially news and partially op-ed. Okay, so in the interview that love is mentioned repeatedly. Okay. Get Star Wars in a recent interview with the Hollywood Reporter, Favreau explains the position and how loving the franchise makes a difference. how loving the franchise. Wow, really? This is news to some people. Did you know that loving a franchise actually makes a difference? Did you know that? Did you?
You
This, uh,
don't say.
this is news to me, right? I thought hating the franchise made you better at the franchise, but loving the franchise, who would have thought that would work?
I thought we were going to do this by, killing what we hate.
Killing what we hate. That's how we're gonna win. By fighting what we love, protecting what by saving what we hate, and fighting what we not fighting what we love.
We fucked that up, didn't we?
Yeah, but that's okay. John Penn. But if you look at things like a Blacklist, you see a strong example of how to layer a show while maintaining an individual episode format. Yeah, The Blacklist I kind of liked. I kind of like Blacklist mainly because the character of Reddington, he was pretty interesting. However, there are a lot of problems with it the first couple of seasons.
I had
Uh,
the Blacklist recommended to me because I enjoyed a show called The Following, but I
Mhm.
didn't enjoy the Blacklist as much.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard the following, but the Blacklist was pretty interesting. It has a very good concept, and it has some very good promise. But it's like written by a bunch of writers who don't have the skill or the expertise to write what they wanted to write. At least maybe not until later. I've not seen the later seasons. I've seen maybe one or two, maybe three seasons.
I didn't stick around. I just got too bored. It wasn't because it was particularly bad. It was just that comparing it to the show that preceded it, I was like, I just can't.
It's kind of like it has a Hannibal Lecter Silence and Lambs sort of scenario where it's
Yeah,
the
it was the
the
same
evil
kind of
criminal.
idea.
Yeah, yeah.
I just think it was much better executed in The Following. Like when I watched The Blacklist, I got bored very quickly, so it's possible I was unfair to it. But we have another one from Gojira 387. Have you heard of the anime version of Seven Samurai? It's called Samurai 7. It's a little weird with the bandits being giant mecha robots, but it's a pretty solid show.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've been actually looking into it to see if I would buy it or not because I recently bought
Mm,
physical copies of Samurai Champloo and Cowboy Bebop because I really like those
mhm.
shows.
Well,
Physical
yeah, of
copies.
course.
So I won't have the because the thing about digital copies is you have to rely on the platform to one stay up and two not ban you.
Yeah.
So for example, if you buy a bunch of purchase a bunch of media on, say, for example, Amazon,
Hmm.
and they ban you for whatever reason, then you don't get that media back. They don't refund you for the money you paid. You just lose hundreds of dollars worth of media depending on how much you invested into it. But if they ban you and you have the physical copy, then you
Hmm.
still have the physical copy. And if, of course, if they alter things, if they change like they did, like Disney Plus likes to do, alter things to make it more woke or something like that, then that won't affect your physical copies. At least
Yeah.
not yet.
Also, before I forget to mention, it looks like Gary Stu wants to hop in, so I don't know how many slots we have.
We'll see here because let me see here. Because I know let's see. I know Spudboy and Glib might hop in for this
Hmm.
video we're going to cover within, I'd say, around the hour mark or so. But we'll
Hmm.
see here. I think we'll have enough slots. And see, Rockantino, could someone send Gary Stu the link, or is it
I could do it. I think
awesome? Appreciate it.
I just take it straight out of the box, right?
Yeah.
All
See,
right.
Rock
Perfect.
Insano, thanks for $4.99. Thirsting for more Star Wars got us Disney Star Wars. Don't drop your standards an inch because they will take a mile. Garbage will drop your standards. Yeah, we're so desperate that instead of giving us like a scrumptious meal, they gave us scraps from their table, and we were grateful for it. That's basically what happened. They got their egos inflated.
Mm.
Okay, so let's see here. Oh, welcome, Gary Stu. Welcome, my other me.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
There he is.
Let's see here. Botan, welcome, Botan. That's a nice happy hug. Well, nice happy hug to you, Botan. Thanks for $1.99. Appreciate it. And Nova Zero, thanks for 10. Appreciate that. Expertise is the right word. The content of the stuff is occasionally interesting, but oh, so behind the times. David Spader, though, oh, the suspense is killing me. I laugh so hard with that. David Spader he was very interesting in that show. I think the Blacklist is how he got the role for what was it that on he was played the Avengers villain, the robot, Optimus, or what was it? No, it's not
Ultron.
Ultron. It's like Optimus Prime or something.
Yes, that great villain
Oh,
from the Avengers.
the greatest
Optimus
villain,
Prime.
Optimus Prime. Yeah, I couldn't. It's like, what was it? I knew his name. It's Ultron. Ultron. Yeah, Ultron.
Fucking Optimus.
I would like to bring a little counterpoint to what you've been saying about how, like, they should listen to the fan base, because there's been quite, like, if you look at the game No Man's Sky, that's exactly what happened with the game. People like asked a lot of question media, and they wanted more stuff, and that's why once it was delivered, everybody was disappointed. So yes, listen to the fan base, but do not listen to everything,
Well,
because
oh,
then
yeah.
you could
No Man's
I
Sky
think
like
that the
everything.
issue with No Man's Sky is very similar to the issues that we've had with the Fable trilogy, in that the developers were making promises that they couldn't keep.
yes.
Yeah, it was.
They had
basically
no
it was-
intention of making it multiplayer on release. They had no intention of adding all these features. But yet, what was it Sean Murray kept going out there and saying, "Oh, we have these features. Oh, we have these features," and like kept hyping it and hyping it and hyping it.
Yeah,
And
he wasn't exactly a PR guy. He was
Mhm.
he was a programmer. You don't send a programmer to be a PR guy.
That's why
Big
you don't
mistake.
use introvert as a PR guy.
Yeah, at least I mean, at least one that's not, used to being in the spotlight or used to social conversation. Because you could be an introvert and be used to that. It just takes practice.
As
No,
far as
but
I remember,
I
they had
don't-
no PR.
I think while the example is not a good example, I admit that it's not always best to just listen to fans without any kind of thought. But you have to remember that fans ultimately buying a product, and they want a product of quality.
It becomes
And
after a
if
while.
you're not,
It becomes two-way conversation, pretty much.
Mhm.
Especially when you're working with a franchise like Star Wars. The whole lesson is listen to fans. Just don't let the fans take over. Just don't let the fans like run the show that you're running. You still have your idea. You still have your vision of where you want to go. You still have your expertise, but you shouldn't. Again, it's the golden mean. Don't discard the fans like a lot of the Hollywood elite have been doing. But don't let the fans take over. That's too much. But you still count their input. You still consider their input valuable. Don't discount the fans, okay? Because they're the ones that are listening to you. They're the ones that are buying your product. They're the ones who've also invested time and money, like I always say, into the product that you're creating. However,
Could you
let them take over.
could you give a particular example of a fan base taking something over right now?
Let's see here.
Yeah, while
pretty much anything, the woke stuff, right? The woke audience trying to say you should make Star Wars this way. So the woke audience, they're not actually fans, but they are the same example. It is exactly what happens when you let when the fan base take over something that should be run by the people that have the expertise. Because with all due respect, a lot of the fans, they have passion, but a lot of them might lack that expertise. Like, for example, I have no idea how to make movies. So, but me coming in to tell you how to make this movie better is probably not going to be the best idea.
The people that were talking about that on Twitter and stuff, they're not actually fans. They're just
Yeah.
pretending to be fans.
But the
It's
thing
like-
is, it is a good example of what happens when you let the fan base take over. They demand things, and then you
you get fan fiction.
you get fan fiction.
Pretty much.
basically, he used it in Super Chat. Rocket Insano is right. The creators think they are listening to the fans, but they're listening to the minority. Basically,
Yeah.
all the minorities, and don't just listen
Following
only to the most vocal players who even are just the smallest minority.
They're basically listening to the fans that already agree with them. So, oh, you fans agree with me? Okay, well, listen to you. You fans are critiquing me in any slight way possible. Well, then you're all toxic man babies. And see, Zofrats, thank you for the Donkey Kong dollars. Thank you for the 20. Give it
no,
the
Donkey
opposite.
Kong currency.
The opposite. Happy hug. Well, happy hug to you also, Zofrats. See, that was Ultron. it was Ultron. But I really like the fact. I would like the idea of Avengers facing off against Optimus Prime. That'd be fantastic.
Oh, yeah, that would be interesting. Somebody please write a fanfic about that. I'm taking it to you guys, fans. Somebody write a fanfic.
Let's see here. Ryan Johnson, get on it. I know he writes fan fiction.
Yeah,
Let's
that
see.
would be amazing.
Rocket say notes for .99. What creators think they're listening to fans? Exactly. They listen. They think they're. I don't even think they think they're listening to fans. I think they're trying to look like they're listening to fans by saying, "Oh, look, we're listening to these guys, and they're against racism." So, and if you disagree with these guys, you're obviously a bigot. So basically, you know how there's that phenomenon where you want something that would seem to be bad or against the grain, but you use something, someone else's opinion, appeal to authority or something to justify your own already established opinions that you don't want to admit that you already had. You're just saying that, I only like it because this guy likes it. A less controversial example would be like, I don't know, you being a guy who likes a traditional girl show, like I guess a brony or whatever. So if you go into that My Little Pony thing, if you're brony and someone catches you liking this show and you're kind of embarrassed by it, you say, well, this guy likes this YouTuber that's awesome likes it. An example of what if like Mr. Medicare turned out to be a brony or something, and he's like, oh, Mr. Medicare likes this, that's why I'm watching it. Mr. Medicare is really, really cool and awesome. So the guy if the guy knows about Mr. Medicare, like, oh, okay. It's kind of like, oh, it's an excuse, right? So that's kind of what they're doing here to me, is that they're using these woke audience members to say, oh, we're listening to the audience, but the thing is, they're not. They're just using this audience as a basis to justify their pre-established feelings because this audience already agrees with them. This is why they choose them over the actual fans, because their egos get in the way. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anyone. Yeah, that's it. Right there. We go. And I was on the Seven Samurai thing. I was thinking about getting that one next because I heard it was great. I've heard about that show for almost a decade, I think, maybe longer. I just never watched it because I was never that big into anime. Some of my friends were, but I wasn't really that much for some reason. And until Toonami really hit. Hatch for 50 SX and Witcher 2, motherfucking chat. Play hooky today. Are you playing hooky today? Living on the edge today, aren't you, Hack? So congratulations. Hope you have fun. We're having some fun playing hooky. Anyway. So in the interview, that love is mentioned repeatedly. They even included the 501st Legion to help fill in a story. Well, that is incredible because the 501st Legion, if I remember correctly, is a fan. It's a fan
Organization.
They're a fan organization. They're a group of fan cosplayers who dedicate themselves to replicating Clone War or clone armor to the most minute detail.
Clone Stormtrooper. It's basically just cosplaying anyone within Star Wars, and they mostly do things like charity events and such.
But how awesome is that? That is awesome. That's really respecting the fans right there. Really acknowledging the fans, because these fans, they're very passionate, and you could be excused to not even acknowledge them, but just kind of yeah, that's cool that they're there, but they actually brought them in. Could you imagine the high these fans must be feeling to be not only acknowledged but rewarded with a spot on a show that they love and a franchise that they love? Now this is going above and beyond. So first of all, Favreau, he won my favorite by saying, you should listen to fans. But now he just tops it off with this, like the cherry on top, getting actual fans to be in the project. The actual fans who dedicated more time, more money, and more passion than your average fan to get all this together, and reward that passion and that dedication with coming on board to the actual project. How awesome a guy are you, Favreau? That's fantastic. What a winner. What an absolute winner. What a boss. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, isn't that basically what you're doing?
I guess so, isn't it? I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I like it so. That's why I respect it so much. I can't believe he's doing that. That's amazing. I love it. It's one thing to acknowledge the fans, and one thing to elevate them, bring them into the project to begin with. especially in a project with this this restrictive, this big budget.
Mm.
So Favreau, Cavill, those are the good guys so far, confirmed good guys. If only Filoni did this, then I could forgive him for a couple of things. But never shall I forgive him for saying Luke just opened the door. That's kind of unforgivable.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Hash450SX, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. My soldier friend did 2 tours in Iraq. He became My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fan when he had PTSD. It helped him reassemble back to life. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm not saying it's bad to like that show. I'm saying it's some guy who might be embarrassed to like that show, and he gets caught liking that show, might jump to this guy likes it and this guy's cool to excuse their already established behavior. And that's what the creators of these shows are doing.
The My Little Pony is good. It's the problematic
Fans.
brony fan base who's the problem.
Now, I have not seen the show, so I don't know if it's good or not. But it's not really
Well,
my thing.
you wouldn't enjoy it. It's much more like for 6-year-old children who still thinks everything's happy and friendship can solve everything in the world.
It's not really made for me, so I didn't watch it. But I heard it was good from a lot of people. And apparently they had Delancey in there, so that's cool. Let's see, Rock and Sailors for the 999 rewards Hollywood for doing the bare minimums. Yeah, I mean, Favreau will be doing the bare minimum if we just acknowledge fans, but he brought them in. He brought the fans in on the project, and that's going above and beyond, I think. That's incredible. But yeah, unfortunately, these days, just being your average professional is worthy of praise.
You get a participation achievement.
Yeah, it's worthy of praise these days because everyone in Hollywood, it's like the usual conjecture, the usual consensus in Hollywood is condemn the fans everywhere. And so where we can find someone who will support the fans, unfortunately, we have to give them praise. We have to point it out so that other people can see that. People can see that going to the fans, praising the fans, sticking with the fans is important. And it actually works as opposed to demonizing the fans constantly. Let's see here. I see Hash4OSX. I hear you, Liddy D. Just wanted to stick up for it because the when doctors couldn't help him, Lauren Faust did. Well, that's good. Yeah, I think I didn't say anything against the show. Mainly just the fact that it was a good example of a guy. You know, the guy saying it's like watching Powerpuff Girls or whatever. Or a grown man watching Care Bears. They might feel embarrassed by it because it's kind of a kid show or a girl show. And if they get caught, they might be embarrassed and say, "No, bro, it's not. I'm not liking it. This one guy liked it. This one guy, it's really cool. He liked it. I don't know. The Rock likes to say."
I have a friend over there who really likes it and it has nothing to do with me. It's not me at all.
Exactly. Or it's like, what if The Rock came out and said he was a brony? It'd be like that. It's like, so, hey, bro,
I would lose so much respect for him.
But it's like, hey, bro, you watching My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? Like, no, bro, it's cool. The Rock likes it. I got into the show because
cool,
The Rock likes it. And so, give kind of an excuse. Another one that actually would kind of worked was, what was it? Oh, D&D. Like if you were kind of off about playing D&D, it's like, oh, it's the nerds play D&D, whatever it is. So, and then you're trying to.
You're like, what? No, Sylvester Stallone plays D&D.
Actually, what's his name? I can't think of names this morning. He's Fast and the Furious, the Iron Giant guy.
Oh, Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel. He likes D&D. He's obsessed with D&D. In fact, that what was it? The Last Witch Hunter. That was actually based off his D&D character, Calder.
Henry Cavill during his interview after he recorded during his interview after Witcher the series was released, he said he loves Warhammer 40k and also shows pictures of him painting the minis. That's when basically the fan base skyrocketed. with
Yeah,
new
I know.
people.
I know the Star Wars girl. She really liked him after he came out. After Henry Cavill came out as this big nerd guy, and it's cool because but that's the example I'm going with. That's the example. That's what they're doing here. They're kind of using someone, a tertiary source, like a like if someone were to play for Warhammer 40k, and then someone were going to go to you and say, "Wow, dude, I didn't know you were that big of a nerd," and then you would say, "Henry Cavill likes this stuff." Or you're playing D&D, and your friends come in and say, "Wow, you're playing D&D? What a loser nerd!" And then you go, well, "You know what? Vin Diesel likes to play D&D." It's kind of like that same. Instead of standing on your own and saying, "Yeah, I play in D&D, so what? It's cool. You want to give it a try?" It's kind of like you're relying on the appeal to the celebrity or the appeal to this cool person, a person who's depicted or seen universally or generally as higher in the social ladder, whatever it is, and a so-called winner. And that's what the creators of modern media are doing when they listen to the woke people. They're saying, "We listen to fans because we're listening to these guys over here." Not telling you
Mm.
that they're only listening to these fans because these fans already agree with them. So they're not really listening to the fans. They're just going with what they're already going with, but they're just using these fans as an excuse to justify what they're going with, just to justify the direction they're going with. Let's see. As for photos for Dar99, a slice of life anime is the way. I heard about that. And I've not seen, surprising enough, I've not seen a lot of slice of life anime. I have played a slice of life game, which was the Friends of Ringo Ishikawa, and that was pretty good. But then again, it had a lot of fighting in it. It was a lot of fun with the fighting. See, DJ and Voice of Powerpuff Girls actually had some good stuff in it. Well, yeah, I mean, Powerpuff Girls was made by Genny Tartakovsky. Yeah, he's a legend. He made Samurai Jack. He made Powerpuff Girls. I watched Powerpuff Girls when I was a kid. It was a good show. It was a good show.
It was pretty good.
I like Powerpuff Girls. It was great.
Like this animated series.
Vin Diesel likes Powerpuff Girls, so
Powerpuff Girls. Everything that was going on in Jetix and Disney.
Oh
So-
yeah, the remakes, yeah. And then so yeah, the Powerpuff Girls were good. Genny Tartakovsky, of course, made what I consider one of his magnum opus was Samurai Jack, which is amazing, and he made the best version of Clone Wars. So you know the it's good all the way around.
If I wasn't so damn peaceful and in line with the Force, I'd get up and I'd smack the shit out of you.
Yes, I would. I would get through out this basement and I would slap you.
Oh, I know. Anyway, next is 906. The original 2. Cavill has a cameo on Total War Warhammer 2. He does. I have that game. Not really because I was a Warhammer fan particularly, but I was more of a Total War fan. I have every single Total War game except for the new one, which was the Remnants of Three Kingdoms. But I got Warhammer specifically because how outrageous it looked. I mean, it had all kinds of machines and dwarves and stuff like that. It was a total chaos of a project, and I wanted to check that out. It was fantastic.
Don't forget the orcs.
Yeah, that's the entire Warhammer universe, but in fact, that's the Warhammer fantasy.
Yeah, when you showed me that Warhammer 40k short story, that's essentially what I'm getting. It's just a mix.
Yeah, it's the same, except it's fantasy instead of sci-fi gothic cathedral in a space where Hulk Hogan is fighting the devil that's on fire, and he's having war on himself a medal worth of 50 trucks.
That sounds awesome, and it's been awesome so far as I've read in the short story collection. How come we can't get like I don't know, Warhammer 40k anime or something? That'd be pretty
There's
interesting.
been animations, and it seems Games Workshop is like planning on making some animated series, but now all we know is they just hired one amazing guy who made a fan animation or Warhammer 40k for now.
Let's see, Rock and St. Louis for the I-99. I like the show, but Rainbow Dash is a jar. Oh god, no. I heard, no, that one horse I have heard about was Rainbow Dash, because I guess it's like I don't know, really cool horse or something in the show, I guess. I know because it's like it has a rainbow tail or something. That's why it's like a ace sort of character or something. And I know Tara Strong does a voice in there. Let's see here. Rocket Sailors for $9.99. Not just any 40K, it was Custodies. Cavill likes 30K. 30K. Interesting.
The guy who created, that's you, Devil, need to watch Astartes, Talk to Speech, 40K, and Hell's Reach. Those are the best fan animations of 40K.
No, I have seen the Stardust. That was really good. I'm waiting for the next part to come out because I think they just started.
It's not
almost.
going to be.
Oh, it's not going to be finished.
Only no, this is finished.
Oh, it's
This
finished.
Was already all what he planned to do.
Oh, okay.
Then you need to watch Hell's Reach. You'll
Interesting
love
stuff.
it.
Our Stardust was pretty good. I watched the entire series. It was pretty good. It's a lot of a gunfire, a lot of interesting stuff, and it ended with that Marine on this alien world, this unknown world with his missing arm and everything.
Yeah, that's basically your everyday Warhammer 40K day.
Let's see here.
That's just a normal thing to happen.
See, Hatch for OSX and Watch 2. Watch Peach Girl, Liddy D. For some reason, it's great. Peach Girl? Like I know this Peach Boy, Yomotaro. I know that story. Is that something like that? Let's see here. Noble Commando. I don't think you would like slice of life anime. I think you would like anime like Black Lagoon. Now, I have heard about Black Lagoon. I heard I haven't heard much about it. I just know it exists, and it has characters in there with that are awesome and stuff like that. Basically, the usual rundown. There's some awesome characters, a lot of action. I've not heard about anything else about Black Lagoon, but I do know it exists. I do know
Slice of life anime is good if someone is looking for a comfort show after work, but only certain types of slice of life anime have a recurring theme that makes them good for reasons beyond that.
Kaguya-sama Love is War.
See, Alex Tarsh level pony LD, not horse. Okay, ponies. Waifu wars in the chat again. No, fine. Pony. They're all ponies. Okay. I'll get the terminology right. Let's see here. Gorgio 387. Look up Sonic Rain Boom. Interesting. Is that like a Sonic show, or is that a Warhammer 40K show? Sounds like a Sonic fandom thing. Let's see here. Okay. Noble Commando. Black Lagoon is like a combination of Pulp Fiction and Max Payne. Well, that sounds good. I like the Max Payne series. I liked all three of them actually. Include the third one. Hence
Wasn't Max Payne basically John Wick on PlayStation?
It sort of. It was more like a really. It was weird. Max Payne has a really strange lifespan because the first game was kind of it was really overly dark and everything, kind of like as a play on that sort of genre of games. And the second one was it became deeper and more less parody and more straightforward. But the first two games are really, really deep. It goes. I guess you could say it's like John Wick in the fact that it goes beyond just a shooter, and it really brings in kind of like some creepy, ominous mythos. Like for example, in the first game, one of the shootout galleries is in like a satanic cult sort of setting, but it's not. Doesn't go full cult. It's kind of like you don't know it actually exists. It's like the movie Max Payne is weird. I don't watch it. It has nothing to do with Max Payne. There's no actual cult stuff in. There's no actual supernatural elements in there, but it does make it creepier because you don't know, you don't see it. It's not actually part of the world. And the end of the first game ends with you discovering like there's a huge organization and they help you out, and you don't topple any big conspiracy. You fight one guy who killed your family, and the regime or whatever it is. The secret societies you discover just goes on like normal, and it's really interesting. The first two games are very good. The third one is different, but I liked it nonetheless. I think it's because it took place in a Latin country. Like, oh, cool. I like Raul Passos and everything. I really like Raul Passos. I really like the character. But it was very good. I enjoyed it. It went very, very dark, but I enjoyed it. Let's see here. Okay, got that. Awesome. Okay, so Favreau has been a fan since he was younger, and this article even states Favreau, whose journey toward leading the first Star Wars live action series draws from his days as a movie theater usher when Return of the Jedi was released in 1983. So he went from usher. So he wasn't a guy that got people coffee. He was better than that. He was an usher. At least it had something to do with movies. He stated the fact of the matter is, as much as we love working on Star Wars, we love even more making Star Wars for other people. What do you mean he has passion? He has love?
He
What-
cares
what-
about people like his work, and he doesn't
Yeah.
say he thinks he has a style.
He has a style. He actually does have a style. How
You're not even
strange.
right. You think you have a style? No, this guy does have a style. He knows he can write.
Yeah, so he goes on and on about all of his love for the franchise. What I appreciate about, let's see here, no, it's not. You put something out in the world, and then it echoes back to you. You have to listen. It's not a one-way street; it's a two-way street. I wonder who said something like that before. You have to feel the energy of the audience. Strange. It's it's almost as if we've said this to the other people before. But when you come from comedy, and when I was doing improv back in Chicago, that's it. You have to read the room. You have to feel the room. You have to be in a community with the audience. You have to be a part of it. That's Favreau, as opposed to Filoni. And Luke just opened the door. These fans, they don't like strong women. So where Filoni was saying, they just don't like strong women. Okay, they don't like strong women. They just like Luke just opened the door and let Leia run ham. Instead of saying something like that, he's saying Favreau is saying you gotta listen to the fans. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. You have to be in community with the audience. You have to be part of it. It's like a modern day philosopher. Favreau is modern day philosopher. Favreau is. But we have another guest. It seems we have another guest. Fantastic. Let me see here. I wonder who it could be.
I was
Hello,
expecting.
Glib.
Howdy.
Welcome
You
to the
guys hear me?
basement, Glib.
How you doing, Gary Stu? Am I coming through all right?
Oh yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Loud and clear.
Excellent.
Came in just in time. We kind of we finished up this article where Favreau has outed himself as one of the good guys.
Yeah,
He's
as
like,
one of the good guys. I like how how we're characterizing it now because it's us versus evil.
yeah, so that's what's evil. Favreau has joined the side of the fans. Just like Cavill has joined the side of the fans. And he's gone far over and beyond just siding with the fans too. He's brought in like actual fan group called the 501st, who are a fan group who make accurate cosplay of Stormtrooper armor, Clone War armor, and
Wait a minute.
Dedicated fans.
So, what's this about the 501st? Are they doing anything? I missed that part.
Favreau actually brought him into the project.
Wow. Okay. So I wonder if they used their real costumes, like the 501st, or if they, because if they did, that justifies all of the work that the 501st has done for like a decade plus,
Exactly.
trying to get people to look screen accurate. Like now they have an actual
Absolutely.
reason.
This is awesome. So not only have he acknowledged the fan base, not only acknowledged the 501st existence, but he brought them in as an actual source of expertise. So to quote the article, in the interview Favreau's love is mentioned repeatedly. They even included the 501st Legion, the fan group, referring to the fan group, to help fill in as stormtroopers when they didn't have enough costumes. And let me tell you, some of the
That's
costumes are
amazing.
better than the official ones. So they let them use their own costumes because they brought them in. So they didn't hire extras or whatever. They brought in the 501st. They could have just gotten some cheap costumes, or whatever. Brought in some extras off the street. That would have been easy. But they decided what he decided to do was bring in the 501st. He acknowledged the fans. He brought in the fans, and gave them entryway into the actual franchise that they love. So what a fantastic man! What a fantastic way of showing appreciation to the fans. I think a lot of creators out there right now can learn from Jon Favreau's example. Absolutely fantastic. Bravo. Bravo. Well, you know what John Favreau did? He actually made that course correction.
Course correction to appeal to big dumb fanboys.
Perfect.
He made that course correction to appeal to us big dumb fanboys.
Yeah, it's almost like he should have taken over from the beginning. And it's almost like he's part of the reason why the MCU is as successful as it is. Congratulations.
Seems that way.
But he's, people should really learn from John because what he did to get where he is justifies where he is more than any of the other people that are around him.
Exactly.
He's been an actor, he's been a writer, he's been a director, he's been a producer, he's done all the jobs, and now he knows how to tell people what to do. And the only reason why he's qualified to do that on a Star Wars set, besides being a fan and being good at those things, is because he's the best man for the job.
He's gone from Usher to being where he is now. Movie Usher to being where he is now.
It's pretty impressive.
Let's see here. Gojira 387. It means no one will be able to make fun of cosplayers again.
Most impressive.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Yeah, that's true. Those cosplayers are really good. Some cosplayers, I love how you'll see a realistic cosplay and it's better than like the Netflix adaptation. It's embarrassing.
It happens a lot these days. I remember that happened a lot with Titans, where they brought in the Titans costume and then they brought in cosplayer costumes, and the cosplayer costumes just hands down knocked it out of the park compared to the Titans costume.
They destroyed the entire characters of Titans and even botched the goddamn costumes.
Exactly, they did.
Like-
The Titans look nothing like the Teen Titans. They look awful. They look awful, gag-worthy even. And whoever made, I know I'm years late on this apparently, but whoever made the decision to make Robin a killer, should be fired.
That was one of the funniest things. And always F Batman.
Yeah,
freak.
No word.
Oh, it's Batman. It's like, oh, fuck Batman.
You mean the episode where Robin was the X?
Was he? Where was he?
Because there was in the classical Titans, there was an episode where basically Robin put out away from the Titans and became the X. Then somebody stole the costume and used it against him, but the person used the costume better than Robin himself. But nobody knew who the person who stole it was, and the costume was specifically made only for Robin.
Yeah, it was really strange. I don't think they ever closed that plot point. You just
That
kind of
was
became
supposed to be a mystery, I think.
they just kind of left it a mystery. It became a Red X, but he became Red X because he was trying to test his friends and everything.
Red X.
Yeah,
It's awful.
I haven't seen that episode in a while, but I think it was he became Red X in order to test out or to put his friends to the test, which is kind of a flaw in Robin's character in the show because every member in that show is well written.
Are you talking about the original Teen Titans?
Yeah,
The original.
original cartoon.
I actually loved that arc. He was using Red X as an alternate identity to get closer to Slade.
That's it. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
And then later became pawn of Red X, otherwise he would kill all the Titans through
Yeah.
some microchip bomb.
There was a one where there was an arc where Slade brought Robin over by blackmail because if Robin didn't work for Slade, then or become his apprentice, then he would kill his friends.
No,
Then
wait,
later on
wasn't
he
that Deathstroke?
Slade.
Yeah, Slade with Deathstroke.
Yeah, Slade.
Yeah, it's
Call-
funny
call
because
Slade
they had
Slade.
to use the name Slade for censorship reasons, but it ended up sounding more badass and unique.
Yeah.
No one knew who Deathstroke was. I mean, if you just got introduced to it, so to them that character was Slade. And it was really interesting. Slade. And then so Robin later made Red X. Yeah, I remember now, to get close to Slade, but he didn't tell his friends about it. And at the end of the episode, it wasn't like everything's forgiven. It was, we're disappointed in you, Robin. How dare you not trust us? And it ended on that note. It wasn't just, I accidentally killed Chewbacca. No, Ray, it's not your fault. It wasn't that. It was, you are suffering the consequences of your actions, Robin. You're suffering for your tragic flaw. So you got things like that in the original show. You got characters with flaws. You got characters who suffered for those flaws. and that's why the show was so great. That's why it became popular. Not because it had anime stuff in there, although that was pretty interesting, because it was well written on top of that. But I think this plays. We'll watch this and we'll go into the next thing. But this really plays into the.
Well, Titans is mainly that show comes off of the whole Zack Snyder idea of the DC universe, where everything's really dark and gritty. Everyone's murders and blood and guts and gore everywhere.
It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
Because Zack Snyder trying to turn the DCU into Warhammer 40k.
I'm actually going to go over this in my new video. The Why is Superman Still Relevant? Spoilers, but the thing is, Snyder's view on this stuff is complete bunk. It is not true at all. Because he said that, because he has these views, I don't think he's the right guy to handle Superman at all.
No, not at all. I agree.
Well, just check this out. This is a joke video by ProZD on the trailer of Teen Titans. It pretty much highlights the absurdity of it.
Who are you? And then Robin looks at them all and goes, "Fuck Batman."
Oh my goodness.
That is a no-no word. And then he takes the gun and he shoots all the guys, and then he stabs a guy's neck.
Wait, does Robin kill people?
Who cares? The teens love that stuff. That's what they do in Fort Fight.
You mean Fortnite?
Pretty sure it's Fort Fight. My grandson plays it all the time.
Alright, so we're all set on Teen Titans.
No, that sounds too fun. How about Mean Titans?
Oh, that's Mean Titans.
How about just
Mean Titans?
Titan?
Ooh, I got chills. This isn't your grandma's Teen
Titans. On the new stream service that nobody wants.
I think they actually, the producers of Titans actually mistook
Yeah, I couldn't
the
stand
person who was the wrong Robin.
When I first heard about that movie, I couldn't stand it.
But look, it's a bigger deal that Robin kills than depicted or whatever, because it's not just Robin kills people. Oh, that's cool. That's edgy. He hopefully grows out of it or whatever. This would not sit well with Batman in the very least.
It wouldn't happen.
The moment Robin kills one guy, that the relationship is done. Batman will not forgive him for this. There's no, oh, it was okay, Robin. You're just going through a tough time. No, you murdered people, Robin. You ended people's lives.
That's basically all that happened with Red Hood.
Red Hood was good though.
Yeah, beaten to death almost by a crowbar by a Joker, and then just turned into maniacal murderer. And this was supposed to be for children.
Yes.
Fucking amazing.
I want to go over this
Yeah,
one.
they've certainly lost their way for a while now.
The DC heroes shouldn't kill for the most part. I guess some of them might if they're kind of lesser, like the lower on the tier, like I don't know, D tier or C tier, whatever. I guess they can, but Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, they shouldn't kill.
No, that doesn't fly.
Yeah,
Batman from Earth 22 killed the Joker, then basically became the Joker.
Because exactly. The moment they start killing, they lose their righteousness. They lose what they stood for in the first place. They kind of go towards anti-hero rather than hero. Anti-heroes kill. They kill for what we supposedly are good reasons, like to stop crime or whatever. But heroes don't really do that.
They also can't do it outside the, killing someone. It's obviously against the law. Batman might, not have to stop at traffic lights, but there has to be a line somewhere, and he can't completely unchecked and renegade. He can't kill people. If the police say, "Look, this maniac's fucking murdering people," what the fuck?
Is he reconciled for 999? You can only kill if you're Batman's son. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has a line there. So he has standards. You can only kill your Batman's son. Okay, if you're Batman's son, you have kill privilege. Okay,
depends which one you are. There's 4 of them, and only 2 killed.
I think
one raised into maniacal super ninja,
I think there was a theory on that where why Batman has so many uh was it sidekicks and stuff is because every writer who gets their hands on Batman wants to leave the mark on his legacy. So
I
it's really
see.
tough to do that. It's really tough to do that with a good story because you have to be skilled or talented. So that's out of the question immediately. So what they do instead is they just give him a new sidekick or a new partner or something. So and then they make him care for that partner or the sidekick, and therefore they kind of have to stay in the continuity. So the writer could say, "Look, I may not have written any good stories for Batman, but I gave him a sidekick that's forced on him." What is it? How many sidekicks does Batman have in the Bat family? Like 20 or something? It's a lot.
He's had, I think, 5 Robins.
Yeah, it's getting up there. It's like a Bat army almost. So that's why you see so many sidekicks coming out, so many new villains coming out for Batman, rather than the old traditional villains being used, because it's a lot tougher to leave your mark on his legacy if you're just relying on writing a good story, because that requires talent and, more importantly, hard work, and that's something they're not willing to do these days. So instead, they just make up a new character and just throw him into the Batverse, and that's it.
Mm.
Job
And
done.
of course, no bad guy of Batman can compare to Joker, who is voiced by Mark Hamill. I say that that's the best Joker ever made.
Oh yeah.
And not even the Dark Knight Joker is better.
Specifically, his interpretation of Joker in the Arkham games, because you get Mark Hamill's amazing voice talent while also having this grittier, more realistic world of Batman.
Also, the last joke.
The Batman animated series, while such a great series, there's obviously limitations you can have with a cartoon.
Also, the last joke is amazing work by Mark Hamill as a Joker.
They did a fantastic job, yeah. And the Arkham games, it felt like the same characters from the animated series, but brought into a more grittier, darker setting.
They're just 3D.
Yeah, it's 3D. It's 3D versions of them.
It's funny you mentioned Arkham
Now
because
Batman has a Bat Tank.
Arkham was when I started to become a huge Batman fan. That was kind of where it started for me. And then that was when I started to go back and look at the stuff that I missed.
Well, yeah, because if you look at the Arkham game, it brings in all the stuff that's actually Batman. It brings in the detective portion of the game of this character, brings in the stealth elements. It brings in all of the villains that you usually see or usually associate him with, while maintaining a balance between maturity and darkness and grittiness or whatever, and also having a lot of wackiness. I mean, the first game ends with you fighting a roided out Joker.
Steroid Joker.
Yeah. So it walks a perfect balance between dark and grittiness and comic book extremism,
wackiness. Yeah.
While also maintaining all the elements that we really like about Batman, the detective stuff, the awesome fight stuff, giving him the environment where we associate him with, which is that really the craziness, the madness of Arkham Asylum. It's everything put together. So
and what they did with Arkham Knight was very clever.
I didn't play that one.
I love how basically the Joker took over Batman's mind in the Arkham.
Yeah.
And then you just start having those hallucinations of Joker death and his funeral. Then just this
it was a brilliant way to bring the Joker back.
Attacking you, literally. If you played the game and the scene where the Joker is attacked by the Nightmare Batman, you would at 2:00 in the morning you would just be scared. It was literal nightmare fuel, and amazing as that.
Yeah, the horror element of Batman is always fantastic because it's the madness, the fear has always been a part of the beating heart of the Batman franchise. See, Hatch 450SX in Witcher 2. Also, Red X was a nod to Red Hood Jason Todd. Yeah, I heard about that.
It was.
They kind of they even had a short segment in the cartoon, kind of guessing on who Red X was. Was it Jason Todd? I think it was Beast Boy was saying, "It's Jason Todd, right? It's Jason Todd." It was pretty interesting.
It was actually never revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was never revealed. It was always kept a secret. They kept it a mystery.
Yeah, but it has to be like some like Robin from alternate universe or something, because it was specially made to it so that it would only suit Robin. So who else can be it? So just giving another nod to Batman having so many sidekicks, Robins.
Yeah,
amazing.
they gave Batman an army of Robins, but
A army of children. He should be fucking arrested.
Yeah, it's like I don't see any problem with you having this young girl, and this young boy, and that one over there, and you're all
Especially
fine.
my daughter, which was shot and crippled.
and then they turned into a new hero, Oracle. And VC Van Skyver actually mentioned, he actually commented on this when they wanted to give Oracle back her legs and everything, make her back return to Batgirl, and his editor said no, because people in wheelchairs now they have a hero, because she's not letting her paralysis stop her from being a hero. She's Oracle now. She's helping Batman stop crime.
I preferred her as Batgirl to Oracle.
Yeah, well, they eventually made her Batgirl again because Gail Simone wanted to return her to Batgirl. She wanted to write Batgirl. Whatever Gail Simone wants, Gail Simone gets. She wanted to write Batgirl because she wanted to write feminist propaganda. By the way, Nexus 906, Much of the Five. Terry McGinnis, a Robin. Return to the Joker is the best animated sequel movie. Hashtag change my mind. I heard that was really good. The Return of the Joker.
I remember it being good.
Yeah, because
It's
they had a really
sequel.
interesting twist and all that stuff. Is Terry McGinnis a Robin? I don't think so. He kind of has
No, he's not a
same
Robin.
character as Robin.
He just kind of becomes the next Batman.
Yeah, he's more like
So-
a Batman apprentice than a Robin, I think.
I'm still going to kill him anyway, Bats.
Joker's always fun. That's and you know what? I think the reason why the Joker has become such a integral part of Batman, because as someone in the interview said, an interview I watched a long time ago said, there's no like historical rivalry between bats and clowns. This is not something that exists.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all.
The thing is, the Joker, even from his first iteration, even from his first introduction, represented or embodied, I should say, everything. The
other
heart
side of
Batman.
Batman.
Wait, what were we saying?
They're
there?
basically the same people.
I didn't hear.
Both have tragic story.
I want to hear what Literature Devil said. I didn't hear the end of that.
Oh,
What was it
sorry.
that you said?
Oh, but the Joker, even from his first iteration, because the first iteration of Joker was this mastermind who was like, okay, if this guy dies at midnight tomorrow, and whatever they do, they couldn't stop it from dying. So he wielded death. He wielded the great thing that we all fear, that this is integrated into humanity as a thing that everyone fears, is the unknown and the power of unstoppable, inevitable death, the power of inevitability. So kind of explored Doctor Who recently, but the thing is, what the Joker did in his first appearance was embody the aspect that it lies at the beating heart of Batman, and that's fear. The Joker was the face of fear. He was the horror element, the dark side of fear. While Batman used fear for good, the Joker used it for evil, like sheer horrible evil. That's what the Joker comes in. So
It's
even
just scary.
Yeah.
even modern iterations, even the Dark Knight, chaos. Everyone fears chaos. We want order. We fear the chaos of anarchy and on stuff. So the thing is, what the Joker represents, has always represented, is the fear element, the evil, the dark side of fear.
Well, they both represent fear. It's much more Batman represents fear to the villains, while Joker represents fear to the normal people, to the common people. They're just two sides of the same coin of fear.
Exactly.
Well, they're different. They're different in each iteration, but they have a constant.
Exactly.
Right?
That's how they're connected. They're connected by the heart of Batman is fear. He uses fear for good. The Joker represents, he embodies the chaos, the fear.
If you look at string theory, everyone's connected. I can't quite prove this.
I like that the Mark Hamill Joker is more like a showbiz clown in that he's putting on a show, and then you get the Heath Ledger Joker, and it's almost like he is Batman, but he just doesn't care. Like he could be Batman
without the moral compass.
he taunts him. He's like, "You let 5 people die. You know, wasn't a good idea." That kind of thing. He's in his head, and he's already like 5 steps ahead of the game. And then you have like Jack Nicholson, who's like present. He's like, I'm gonna enjoy everything that's going on, even though he's a ham, and that Batman movie's a ham. But I think it's the only way that you could be a bad Joker is if you're an unmemorable Joker, or you're not even hitting the character. And getting the voice down, I feel like, is half of the battle. How the Joker looks, almost always looks the same, unless you write damaged on his head. But
yeah,
it's really stark.
Sorry, who had damage on their head? I kind of forgot them.
I don't know. I think that was a prototype that never happened. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was in a film that never quite got was it released?
I think his name was Jared Letdown.
Yeah,
something like that.
That's his name. That's his name. It was Jared.
I thought his name was he gave up Doctor Strange to play the Joker.
By the way, if you don't like Jared Leto, you're really going to like American Psycho.
I just want to say that.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul. Is it a raincoat? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
In '87.
You got a dog or something?
Yeah, Chow.
Oh my god.
No, Paul.
No, Paul. We gotta watch American Psycho. It's so great. I love.
Yeah,
that.
we gotta do a commentary track for that or something.
Absolutely, I would love. I refuse to watch it unless we do a commentary track on it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The book and the movie, both lovely projects. Lovely projects.
Lit Dev can't get reservations at Dorsia because he won't suck the Mater D's cock.
And I'll flick a straw at you. Rockintano, this for the 99. Escalation is a dangerous thing in storytelling. Yeah, because eventually you run out of things to escalate. Kind of you go from small street crime to world crime to galaxy crime or galaxy-wide nonsense, and then where do you go from there? You're kind of stuck. You kind of you have gotten the audience used to escalation, and then where do you go after you do galaxy stuff? Backwards. It's going to be kind of a letdown. It's going to be kind of deflating the tires. So yeah, it is kind of dangerous.
With Avengers.
Yeah, Avengers, even Super Mario.
That's just easy to escalate. You just need to just find those 2 children from the field who just my hero can beat you because he has super strength. No, he's super fast, so you won't even hit him. Well, he has super homing lasers.
Like saying, Captain Marvel's better than your character because she's more powerful. In a fight, she would win.
Just 2 children arguing who has better character and just thinking of stuff. They can do amazing escalation.
So when it comes to Marvel, exactly, I completely agree that they've done nothing but like raise the bar every time, and they should have tried something a little bit. Well, no, because you've gone from invasion to someone who's about to completely obliterate the entire world to go to someone who's going to wipe out half of the galaxy, and then it's trying to bring half of that galaxy back, and then it's like the entire galaxy is now at risk. It's like, well, what's the next Avengers going to do now?
You go from there.
If you look at most shows,
I really wanted to point out
like that much. So they'll jump from, they'll have a high, and then they'll go back down to the low. They'll go high again, and the stakes keep going up and down and up and down. And they manage the stakes rather than just having an endless increase. So that they're not always just going, oh, well, before the city was at risk, now the world's at risk. Oh, now the world's going to be obliterated by, fucking meteor. It's like, oh, now half the galaxy is going to be obliterated. So wait, what?
I mean, look at the old pulp novelists. They didn't escalate. They wrote one good story after another, and they didn't escalate. It's always the same formula over and over again. The detective starts off in his office. Beautiful woman comes in with the crime. She's in trouble, and you go on from there. This happens over and over again. You see this again in Jack Reacher series, the Jack Reacher novels. He doesn't escalate. He just goes from one small town to the next, getting into all kinds of shenanigans.
I was just thinking while you guys are talking about the Marvel stuff. I think that on a comic book level, the major distinction between the DC universe and the Marvel universe is not necessarily the tone. I think the film adaptation people have been trying to put together and synthesize the process in the wrong way. The MCU works because the Marvel universe was kind of already built. They live in real locations like New York City. You know, the Avengers exist in where Spider-Man is, and you know he wanted to join the Fantastic Four, and there's all different storylines that can overlap with each other. Their power levels are sort of similar, but DC is like it's almost like it's a convenience or a contrivance that they exist in the same space because even though they live in different cities, they're kind of non-overlapping. Like the Batman tone does not overlap with the tone of Superman in many ways. And that's something that is really hard to reconcile when you're trying to build something modeled after the Marvel universe, which is why I think the DCEU didn't work. They didn't establish each of the independent worlds coming together for any kind of coherent reason, because that would take a lot of time to think about. Writing a coherent Justice League story where everybody has something to do is something that a really advanced writer has to do. You have to figure out a lot more to work with the DC universe than the Marvel universe if you're trying to bring them together. And I listening to the MCU stuff and watching those movies, I don't actually agree that they succeeded in every endeavor that they were trying to escalate it. I think that they found a serial system, kind of like what Literature Devil is talking about, where pressure is built up in the form of tension and suspense and like how things are going to get bigger. And what happens is that those things are built up in individual movies as breadcrumbs, and then you have a release valve that's like an Avengers team-up movie. But in that movie, there's not that much time for character development. There's characters facing consequences, but most of the buildup is in their own movies. And I think one of the hardest things that the Marvel Universe has had to do is go back after the Avengers sequels, one after the other, and make independent movies again for each of their characters. Because Iron Man 1 was good, Iron Man 2 was less good, and then Iron Man 3 was awful. And you know, you have Thor 1 and that was all right, and then Thor 2 was awful, and they haven't even bothered to make a third one. The exception with Captain America I thought was interesting, where the Captain America was average, and then the first Avenger was average, and then the Winter Soldier was an upgrade, I felt, on the story's like action proceedings, and that it actually fit what the audience was more interested in. And then to increase it, they basically turned an Avengers movie into a Captain America crossover with Iron Man. That was a way to really promote the character. So they found clever ways to mix and match where it worked, and where it doesn't work, you can clearly see is them trying to hit those valleys again where some things don't necessarily integrate and make sense. I think the best integration of the Avengers into the single movie would be Spider-Man Homecoming being related to the Avengers events, where Vulture is basically using the alien tech. That is pretty clever. That is a clever way to integrate things back into it, and having Iron Man related to Spider-Man's adventures brings him into it. What a perfect example of how not to do it is Captain Marvel, obviously, where she just shows up out of nowhere and then she's plugged in there, and it's after the fact. Yeah, so to bring that back to the DC thing, the issue is that think about how they delivered the sequence. There's no Flash movie really, right? Unless I'm missing something. Did I,
I don't think
fall
there's
into
no
a
Flash
coma,
movie yet.
or Cyborg is just not doesn't have its own series or something like that. There's no Teen Titans to lead into that.
When's the last time we saw a Hulk movie?
Well, the Hulk is kind of an irrelevant character at this point, but I'm just trying to stay on the DC topic, because what I'm trying to point out is that there's no what people liked about Wonder Woman was that it established a character that we knew and love or whatever, and then took them on a journey that would then lead them to a place. It was a self-contained movie. Then integrating her into Justice League is a disaster, because there's no build-up for these characters to interact with each other in movies that are intermediate between those two things. The MCU at least had that, where each successive Avengers movie is a bigger threat. Each movie that proceeds after that has consequences from that. They tied it all together. DC is like a linear set of movies that you watch in a row, and if one of them messes up, there's no fallback. You don't have to watch Thor: The Dark World to know much about Infinity War. They'll bring you up to speed. You know, so you can pick and choose a little bit more with the MCU and then have new reasons to go back. With the DCEU, if you watch a movie and you don't like it, you're going to get more of that. It's going to get worse. So they need to do individual DC superhero stories to build up their universe before they even think about crossing over.
Yeah, they should have done that with Batman at the very least. Because the thing is, you're right about Batman not really fitting in with Superman. Because DC characters are more like gods of their own realms almost. Even when the idea of Justice League. Because if you have a Justice League movie and you're trying to add this stuff in Batman in there, you're going to have to escalate Batman a lot. You're going to have to give him machines and all kinds of weird tech and all that stuff just to make him be able to just to compete on the same level as Superman or Wonder Woman. Because Superman is he's not Captain America. Captain America is just like he has powers, yeah, but he's more like a superhuman human. He can't fly, he doesn't have heat vision. He's just really strong and really capable of doing things more than the average person is. More than probably a above average person is capable of doing. And you have Thor, which is a god, but he has his limits too. I don't think Thor could beat Superman either. So for Batman to be useful, he has to be this almost omnipotent god like person who has a plan for everything, who has contingencies already set up for every single thing available, and has this the guy who provides all the tech. He has satellites and satellite bases and all kinds of nonsensical stuff that he wouldn't really need if he was all on his own. And that's kind of where he fits better, I think, is when Batman is on his own, just fighting street level crime, fighting the Joker, fighting the Riddler and all the next plans. His next caper, undoing his next caper, and using his mind. Because if you put him on the level of Superman and Wonder Woman, it's more like how strong is he, rather than how smart is he, or how deductive is he. Now, you can do that, but it's kind of like less focus on that, and having Batman needing to be physically capable or strong also to keep up, as opposed to just giving him his own show like on Batman the Animated Series, where he doesn't have to be that powerful, almost godlike in his this tech level and everything. I say Rock and Sailors for the 199. Terry McGinnis is Bruce Wayne's biological son. Was that true in the show?
It was rewritten in Justice League Unlimited that Cadmus injected some like DNA rewriting thing into like his parents. I can probably find a video to explain it better than I can.
They went that complicated. They couldn't just say, "Oh yeah, he was Batman's son from a one night stand."
Oh, yeah, Batman had a one night stand. Well,
yeah,
then it was
that.
Well, that's quite normal in the Batman universe.
Bruce Wayne has had them before.
Just the idea of redoing the genes of someone is stupid. Okay, that's a stupid. Whoever wrote that, you're fired.
Okay, I found the clip. If you want to play,
there it is. In Air Fallen, thing number 2, Cadam rewrote the genes of his dad to be Bruce Wayne.
That's dumb.
I've got the clip there if you want to play it.
Okay, let's see here.
What?
I'm going to rewrite the genes of that writer so they can come up with something better.
Let's inject him with some, I don't know, some Mark Twain or something. And it's the Rock and Sailors, this for 499. Gurren Lagann ended with a robot punch that restarted the universe, which led to the literal first fight. The key is actually ending stories at peak. Yeah, it's kind of like the old saying, leave them wanting more. It's kind of like that idea. That's what Avatar: Last Airbender did, by the way. They let us wanting more. We wanted to see what happened after they defeated the Fire Lord and everything. But they
and Korra never happened. No, Korra never happened.
Yeah, and then Korra happened. It's probably why it got.
No, it didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. We know that.
They just canceled it from existence. Yeah, but the old adage is always leave them wanting more.
I would like to say that while Glib mentioned Captain Marvel, how the media and like the NPCs are trying to make her portray as the most powerful being in MCU. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the next step in the MCU based by the comics would be the Civil War 2. I'm interested what they will do about that. If you know, Captain Marvel is the villain of the Civil War 2. She wants to fucking arrest a child for a crime he didn't commit. And
she'll probably be the hero now.
Commit.
If they made it into a movie, she'll probably be the hero, I guess.
Oh, she will perfectly. Everybody she arrests will be will do their crime.
They'll be toxic men or whatever it is. Like,
There will be a white man.
I wouldn't be.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
because
put it
she
past
tried
them
to arrest Miles Morales.
with the way things are going. I wouldn't put it past the MCU to start off with you know how Captain America is no longer there. I wouldn't be surprised if they had like a group. You know how they did with Rorschach and the Watchmen. That there's like going to be a white supremacist group who takes patriotism to the brink, citing Captain America as their leader because you know they had the
You mean Hydra?
a Hydra Captain America guy. It's going, but they might go with that idea, and so that they'll go against Captain Marvel.
Because that's what happened in the
Like
Civil
this.
War. He kills the evil Captain America who works for Hydra. Fucking amazing.
Whatever.
I bet you go that way. I wouldn't be surprised if they went the way of making a quote unquote white supremacist group based off of Captain America, and they have their patriotism cranked up.
They have what's the thing is Captain America now.
Oh yeah,
Like they handed off his shield.
Yeah, he
Oh.
stepped down. Basically, both Robert Downey Jr. and the actor for America, they no longer have contract with Marvel, from what I know.
No, but why did he give his shield and his Captain America name to Falcon, who already has a hero name and already has, some kind of...
Why does a guy
Technology.
that flies around need a shield? Explain that to me, Marvel. Why the hell would he?
make us angry.
Because it's a symbol
Endgame.
of patriotism. That's why they need it.
But he
Make
should have to Winter Soldier.
They need to anger the bigots. That's why. They anger
Yeah,
the
no, they're just trying to be stupid. They're like, well, oh my god, we can't give it to a white man. We got to give it to the black man. And then it's like, whatever. Why? That's the least amount of sense. That's like,
You want to pump out more soy boys that look like Will Wheaton? This is the inevitable result of all of this. This is where we're going. This is why we fight so hard.
we know what you're doing, globalists.
Yeah, exactly.
We know what you're up to.
Down with white men.
How you
Yeah. But yeah, you know how it is. They keep throwing these curveballs at you, and you're like, why? Endgame is just a bunch of why to me. They have Infinity War. It's like, okay, we almost got him, but then he snaps out. Okay, great. You have so many setups you can take from that, and then I think they just convoluted everything possible in the story and made it just. They opened up every kind of Pandora's box plot hole you can think of. They give away the fact that human beings can be immortal in the MCU now because you can just reverse someone's time. So you could, if you get old, just use that time beam thing. Okay, well then you're good. Then they mess up the idea of what's the word causality. By you can go back in time, but that's a different universe that you go back in. But then that's not what Captain America does, or is it?
Yeah, they're from different universe.
And then do you
damn it.
create new universes or like so like there's all these questions
How did he
and then you don't get the satisfaction of killing the original Thanos like it's a big deal. Like, okay, all that time we just spent 10 years watching as this Thanos villain gets bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden he just gets killed easily by an axe swing by Thor, and then Thor
It
gets
was so
depressed.
stupid.
It's so stupid. And
It
then
was so
the fact that
stupid.
Gamora doesn't come back. Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we can bring back all these other characters, but we can't bring back the one character that might be kind of important to another character here.
I'm angry. Where is the Thanos copter? I want my Thanos copter.
He had
that
the
was
little blade.
amazing.
That little blade was the Thanos copter.
Thanos copter.
I
Actually, I
want
did
to
personally
say-
debunk that thing.
Yeah, he hated that
Cinematic
too.
Dragons. He think of amazing plot for the new Civil War 2. They will be arrested because of their tweets.
It's the Rocket Sailors for 999. DCU versus MCU is contrived, planned versus accidental, organic. I think it seems to be more or less on point. Right?
Short-term greed. Like, oh
Yeah.
no, we got to capitalize on this thing instead of slowly figuring out how to produce it.
Well, doing it right.
I think one of the things that's always kind of weirded me out with stuff like the DC Universe and the Avengers and whatnot, with both of them, is how when you're watching one of the individual stories, there's always this sensational villain that places the whole world in jeopardy. And it makes you wonder, well, how did the other heroes not find out about this guy? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Doomsday happening in Metropolis and whatnot. And I mean, you don't think Batman's gonna be a little concerned about that?
Or
I'm
in
just saying.
They just can't.
They're threatening to take over, the entire world, and it's
They
like,
didn't
oh
think
well, I guess Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman aren't gonna come here and help.
Exactly. It's like the moment it escalates to that point, it's like, where is everybody?
It's
It kind of
look. It's obviously that they didn't produce it with any kind of planning. They just winged it. They're like,
It
all right,
makes-
Yeah.
throw it in there.
like DC films, why the event, like say in Spider-Man, it makes sense why the Avengers aren't there in Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. But and it's like the level of the threat plus his status, and like some people wouldn't. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is what makes Iron Man 3 stupid, because this is a terrorist organization that's trying to overthrow the entire United States government. Where are the entire Avengers? Where is Captain America? Where is Black Widow? Where is Hawkeye? Nowhere, and they're trying to take over the United States. Where is SHIELD? Nobody knows. And then it just ends by destroying a couple of armors.
So are we going to watch that clip, by the way?
I don't think we can. I think we might get hit for that one. They're really sensitive about Batman stuff.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
See, Nova Zero, thing which too. Saitama is better than Superman. Get ready for the Salt. And that's a good argument to be made. I might make a video on that eventually.
Yeah,
That's pretty
definitely.
pretty
Saitama is
good.
better.
And see, Rock and
Is
Sales.
Saitama still relevant?
Yes.
Who knows? Reconcilers for $9.99. We injected Terry's dad with nano. Terry's dad with nanomachine, son.
Nanomachine, son.
Nanomachine, son. I have a
It's
theory
really
that
kind of stupid and contrived what they do.
they basically made Alex Jones the bad guy in Metal Gear Solid Revengeance. It was awesome.
Metal Gear Revengeance is amazing. What a great game.
I have a theory that Abby from The Last of Us helped me revamp the world and became Senator Armstrong.
Last of Us 2 is a prequel to Metal Gear Rising. That's great.
Exactly. Nova Zero, the 2. Thor as a title. Thor is a girl name too.
Yeah. Imagine if there was like a superhero or something that was from another religion, right? Like it was Moses, and he was just like, oh no, Moses is a title. No, actually, Moses is a girl now.
Now I'm Moses,
and you have the power to split anything in half. Like, okay,
Moses is not a title. Moses is a man's name. Thor is not a title. Thor is his name. Okay, you can have Thor's hammer.
Also, why does Thor just kind of give up his responsibility to his kingdom and fuck off to go with the Guardians of the Galaxy?
They made him fat too. They made him like a fat loser kind of guy. This because he was the most masculine guy. He's like Thor's the most one of the most masculine, awesome characters in history.
Don't forget, they made out of Hulk a fucking nerd.
Yeah,
the most dangerous person, the angrier he gets, the more stronger that he could destroy an entire planet. And
the reason why Hulk doesn't work is because they've always had bad actors as the choice. They think they need some sort of like serious actor to play Hulk. No, you need a character with a lot of charisma, because Hulk is not. It's Jekyll and Hyde. So you need a Jekyll character to be really interesting and a Hyde character to be really interesting.
I've always wanted Willem Dafoe to play Bruce Banner.
Funnily, well, that's too much like Green Goblin. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Funnily enough, Venom does a better job of being a Hulk movie than any of the Hulk movies.
Yes.
And that's not even good. But what it does is it gives you a dialogue. It gives you an internal monologue. It gives you a character that has quirks.
Venom is very enjoyable.
It's more interesting and all that kind of stuff. So, you need a Hulk character that's going to be comical as a regular guy and then Hulk out and have these episodes. And I really think that there should be two different kind of conflicting narratives going on between those two characters and play off of that, like a Fight Club situation. But I don't know. It's just not. It's not in the cards until they feel like they really need to swap it out. Because honestly, I don't think Mark Ruffalo rubs people the right way.
Any context.
And you weak ass fat beard cucks who let these bitches come in here and make it unhospitable. Tell the fans that they're Nazis if they don't like their characters being destroyed.
Yeah.
You know what, Odie? This is hate speech, and I'm going to be suing you for making my masculinity go away.
That's what you're here for, though. That's what you're here for. To make the masculinity go away. That evil, toxic masculinity go away. You gotta get that out of your veins, you know. Men are just dysfunctional women. That's
That's
anyway,
crazy.
let's see here. I want to go over this video. Let's see here. What was? Here we go. 'Cause I think we'll have just enough time to cover this video before we want to cut off the stream, because it won't go all day. Let's see here. Afro Samurai. I really like this show. I like this movie.
Oh, that's amazing.
And the thing is, the idea and even the themes of this movie, both of them, in fact, both of them together, like Afro Samurai, the original series, and the Afro Samurai Resurrection, together, they encompass and explore the same exact message as The Last of Us 2 attempted to do. That vengeance is something that you can do. So vengeance is something that's very emotional, very powerful motivation, but ultimately, it's wrong. And it goes into that. Afro Samurai really goes into that. You sympathize with the character. You understand why he wants to commit revenge. But you get to see the bloody, dark consequences that unfold from his actions. And it's always harped on. It's always hard. They never let you forget it. All the lives he's ruined, all the choices he's made, all the friendships he could have had, the strong, powerful friendships that Afro Samurai could have had, that he tossed away in his pursuit of vengeance for his father's death. So it's a revenge story, yes, but it's the idea of it, in exploring the consequences of that revenge story, and how revenge is ultimately wrong and meaningless. Because at the end of the first one, he finishes his revenge, and the opening of the second one, he's just been a loser. He's just a guy just by himself carving figures of all people he's killed. And so he reconciles with R99, Hindu deity, superheroes versus Jesus and the Trinity.
I would watch that if it was a movie. I would actually watch that.
That would be pretty interesting.
That was a South Park episode.
I think it was, wasn't it?
Really?
It was really good. It's like season 1 or season 2, very early.
And see here, really LD. That's what The Last of Us tried to do. That's what they said they tried to do, was tell us that, hey guys, you know, vengeance is wrong.
And you're like, are you sure about that? What makes you say that? How do you know? Have you ever taken revenge on anybody for anything? Maybe it's awesome.
Yeah, have you ever tried revenge? You have to play the entire game to have an opinion on it. I guess have they ever tried revenge? I guess, have they ever tried murder or revenge? How do you know it's bad?
But by the reports of the Onion News Network, young kids should avenge the deaths of their fathers to finally grow up and be responsible adults. They're trying to demine us.
Yeah, revenge. Taking revenge for the death of your father is basically just like kind of a rite of passage, you know. I say Hatch 450SX in Witcher 2. Venom was great. Fight me. Most comic accurate. Well,
I would say Venom has a lot of problems in the film. However, even though I can objectively realize there's a lot of issues with it, I subjectively loved it. It was absolutely fun and hilarious. Like there's so many moments between Venom and Eddie. It's like he doesn't want to jump out of the building, and Venom just like pussy.
I'm the same with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I like the movie.
I can't stand that. The only reason why that movie exists the way that it does is that they didn't have a deal between Sony and Marvel to make a proper movie, because the origin story and the way that Venom comes around, telling that story would be interesting. A symbiote saga trilogy where you start with a Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man goes to the planet or wherever where he has to fight, and then he comes back, and then he has to get rid of it with the help of the Fantastic Four. That would be a way to introduce the Fantastic Four back into the series. Then you have the second movie of that trilogy would be the episode where Venom comes into existence. You can tease that at the end of the after credits scene of the first Venom movie, or the first Spider-Man gets the symbiote movie. Venom 2, and then for the third one, you can do a Carnage thing.
I don't want Carnage. I want Agent Venom. That was amazing story, and basically gives the soldiers basically a hero, because he was crippled with
give us Agent
Venom. He couldn't walk.
Any
agree.
niche story that's going to be like a specific story that's out of the creation canonicity or the like a part of the expanding on the characters, I feel like you should establish the cinematic version of that character before you do that. Like the Planet Hulk story, they should have done a Planet Hulk movie, but they should have established Hulk in a better way first before they did that. But what they do now is they blend stories together. So it's kind of frustrating that you don't get a straight Dark Knight Returns movie from Zack Snyder. He wants to copy that story to write his own story. And you don't earn it because we haven't gotten that far in the timeline. There's no reason for the Dark Knight to return because the Dark Knight hasn't even started yet. We haven't even gotten a movie with Ben Affleck as Batman. He screwed us.
Yeah, you can't return if you were never here in the first place.
Yeah. So it's like, that's why I'm saying don't jump to any specific plot line in a comic book if you're adapting it, unless we've already seen, for example, Uncle Ben die 1 million times. I'm not sure we have to see that again. I think we can jump at this point to 30-year-old Spider-Man. I think that Into the Spider-Verse has opened that up to us. The real issues are the ones where you know that you don't have an obvious answer. Who's going to play the next Iron Man? That's a question nobody wants to answer.
Please God, no Riri.
No, but see, they'll do Riri because it's convenient, and they don't want to do Riri.
No.
They're going woke next ones, yeah.
I think it's not financially a good decision, but they don't have another person that wants to jump in there after. You know what I mean? What you need is an Arthur Fleck kind of Iron Man. You need something that's going to be a different take on Iron Man, but it's still going to be interesting. Maybe it's a younger Iron Man. Maybe we should reboot the MCU in a different timeline. Maybe we should have other world timelines.
I would say go to the Ultimate Spider-Man universe and take the father of the Harry Osborn, make him the Iron Patriot because he was like that in the comics. That would be kind of interesting, and it would relate like that it's a father friend of Spider-Man who was bad guy, the Goblin, and now he's good, trying to repent for his sins. Which could be like established by just the Spider-Man Venom movie where he fights him and just it's revealed that he's the Goblin, then tries to do good as to atone for his sins.
I think that the meta of stories is already set in motion, and that we hit things when they are appropriate in the when we're going through them in the chronology of comic book adaptations, just like how we did with the comic books. But I think we need to watch this video because we haven't gotten started with it.
We should probably get moving.
How does killing swarms of people and dogs tell us about revenge? That's bad. That's wrong. That's bad. Revenge is bad, guys. It's kind of like how the Last Jedi said, "Hey, did you know that war is wrong?"
Murdering people is completely.
They just look at the screen.
Then, well, that's where we draw the line.
Killing's bad. Okay.
The Last of Us 2.
Hey, you know that fucker over there which you murdered? Yeah, he had a wife and kids. And now they're coming for revenge.
Yeah, but Shiny,
wife and kid.
Shiny, you're like you say that to someone, then they're like, "Oh, wife and kids, where are they? I want to kill them too."
They've come back to revenge. We got to take down these kids and wife too. You know what I mean? It's just let them. That's actually a villain. Actually, a villain way of looking at things. That's actually something that's a villain. I've seen a villain say, "Well, I can't have these kids." It's not even a movie thing. It's in real life. There was actually, the Arabian princes. That was these the sultans. Usually they had a lot of sons.
Yeah.
So they could have like a proper a successor. But the thing is, when the successor took over, the successor killed all of his brothers, so that he could be the one sultan. So that's kind of what happened. And they would kill the families too. It was pretty brutal. It's not just that culture, but it happens around the world. That if you have an enemy, you kill the enemy and you kill the entire family. I think I'm pretty sure Stalin did that too. It's kind of common in communist countries.
It's also common in North Korea.
Yeah, communist countries.
If you break a law in North Korea, it goes down to like several entire family. Yeah. So, for example, if your granddad commits some kind of crime against the state and gets sent off to the gulag, well, your entire family is going there.
Pretty much. If you escape North Korea, your family's doomed. Your family's
just put in Gulag all the soldiers who fought against the Nazis, just like in the Czech Republic in the 50s. Just all the pilots who didn't fought on the Russian side, but on the British side. The fuck am I?
What?
Nothing.
Anyway,
I just can't.
Well, I was referencing before the series Harley Quinn. There's one character who like ends up killing one of them, and it's like there's an entire family, and it's like this is why you always end the bloodline. Someone always comes back for revenge.
Yeah, they always come back for revenge. It's a very strange idea, but it's very you could see why they would do that. Why their villains would kill the guy who was going after them and kill their entire family, so no one would come back for revenge. But if you're in The Last of Us and you're trying to give a message on revenge, then if the aspect is revenge, then wouldn't you go, okay, this guy had a wife and family, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and end those two, so they don't come back at me for revenge.
This is exactly in the ending of The Last of Us 1 why he killed her. You would just go after her.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
already talking of that the revenge is bad.
You want to end the cycle of revenge? Well, kill everyone who might come after you.
Exactly.
It's not exactly endless, is it? If you
Or
cut it
kill
off.
yourself. But then they might go after your family. or
Let's see.
friends.
Lane of the Shark, Game Show 2. Knock, knock, let the devil in. Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll do that in a second. So how would we, let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Let's see what he has to say about the Afro Samurai.
Let's
I'm not
do
really
it.
sure how it's going to go. He's starting off with Martin Luther King, which is very strange. You're going to be talking about Afro Samurai. So
Yeah, but that's all right. Let's give this an honest take.
I have dreamed today. When we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
it's my dog.
Afro Samurai is a revenge-themed hip-hop inspired throwback to the violence and gore we loved from the 90s Ninja Scroll era of anime. It's a fast-paced, action-packed storyline where the substance of the show doesn't come through the regular means of the plot or character interaction, but the incredibly individualistic, mesmerizing style that's brought to life through the animation. It is utterly unique in how it came to be, who it's based on, and its place in history, being one of the first and only anime to have a black protagonist. And in light
yeah, all true. All true. Is accurate so far. I see KH. Welcome to KH. And which too. Appreciate that. Good morning, LD. I hope you have a nice day. Well, thank you very much, KH. Hope you have a fantastic day also. Awesome. But yeah, all of this is accurate so far. All of this is accurate so far. Let me see here. All right, come on. Everything's slowing down a little bit. Go. Okay, so yeah, all this is accurate so far. But the thing is, I think he's going to go into like the civil rights movement, into how this is a breakthrough. or how-
Yeah.
if you've seen Afro Samurai, it has none of that in there. The only thing that connects Afro Samurai to anything remotely to the quote unquote black community is the fact that he's black. It doesn't have anything else. Like you could make this argument for the Boondocks. That's obvious.
Oh my god, I was just about to say that.
Not really Afro Samurai. The only thing the only time that's his national or racial origin is kind of alluded to is the fact that they know him by his afro. That's why he's called Afro Samurai. So they go, I saw this warrior walking on the street. He had this big, tall hair or whatever it is with a green tint to it. If you look real close, and so you saw Afro Samurai. That's really the only thing that pertains to his race is his afro. No, it's never ever mentioned outside of that. There's no
So,
racism.
you know how these people are. They always want to say that everything that has a black guy walk by in it means it's a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this had a black character in it. Well, obviously, it has something to do with American black culture. Obviously, that even if it's an anime, written by I think a Japanese person. Anyway, let's see.
Well, maybe he's not black. Maybe he's actually a Japanese guy, since apparently every character they make is Japanese.
a black guy walk around me and then rob me. What a miracle!
He just looks black, but he's actually Japanese.
Yeah, isn't the argument?
It's just the paint, house paint.
I think that's what the arguments are made, isn't it? Where he's a Japanese creator made it. It's from Japan, therefore it's Japanese. It's a Japanese character. I think that's what they actually made it. No, it was Sailor Moon. I think it was Sailor Moon. It's because Sailor Moon is an anime character from Japan. She's Japanese in origin, which is not true. She's actually from the moon.
Yeah.
Not everything. Just because I make something doesn't mean it's American. It's an American character. Okay? I can make a character from Japan.
That's like saying if you're making a character in America, it means it's going to be white.
Exactly. And that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's very silly.
Of everything that's been going on in the world right now, I feel like it's the perfect time to go back to the 2000s and take a look at a historical show that feels more relevant today than ever before. This is Afro Samurai. Let's get into it. Afro Samurai was originally a seinen manga series that was regularly published in the self-funded No How Doujinshi magazine, taking 4 years to be fully released despite only having 10 chapters. But this isn't the story of some crazy success of a self-published manga going viral through fan engagement. In fact, the main reason Afro Samurai went further than a self-published magazine is due to the mangaka Takashi Okazaki having a friend who decided to create an extremely limited run of action figures based on the characters. One of those original figures landed in the lap of the producer of Studio Gonzo, who was inspired to create an animated series just based on the character design.
It's weird how some of this stuff works, because there's a similar story with Harry Potter, where Harry Potter was actually rejected until it turned out that one of the daughters of, I think, one of these publishers said she liked it, so they decided to publish it. Anyway.
It ain't what you know, it's who you know.
Get it? Between Just Afro and Ninja, you can tell this show has something special to offer. It's a realistic take on black figures inspired by Okazaki's love and admiration of hip-hop and soul music, and specifically the old American TV classic Soul Train. After Gonzo's initial interest, the anime itself took 3 years to develop, but during that time, Gonzo created a trailer for the show which grabbed the interest of one civil rights activist turned Jedi Master, Samuel L. Jackson, a man who was an usher at Martin Luther King Jr.
Activist?
I didn't know about him. Was he a civil rights activist?
No, he's not.
Interesting fact.
I never knew.
No, he's not. He's not.
If he was, he's one of the good ones. I mean, he was I remember an interview with him where I think it was after Django. And he wanted the white interviewer to say the N-word. It's like, just say it. It's, it doesn't matter. And of course, the interviewer refused to say it, because if he said it, even under the prompting of Samuel Jackson, his career is over. Okay?
He had the N-word pass, and he still didn't do it. You
can't take this. This isn't. It's not worth.
He's supposed.
Well, no, because if he says it, then all the other white people will ruin his life.
Yeah, so that's why he didn't do it. But Samuel Jackson was like, just say it. Just say the N-word. It's okay. Just do it.
From what I'm reading, Samuel L. Jackson held hostage father of Martin Luther King.
He was like, I mean, it doesn't matter if he's a civil rights activist. That's good. I mean, I don't know. People have pasts. Was he a civil rights activist? That's cool. It's a cool piece of information I didn't know about Samuel Jackson. But he's not one of the crazy ones. He's not one of the ones that's trying to destroy.
No, he's just crazy by himself. He's Samuel L. Jackson.
He's Samuel Jackson. He's just awesome by himself. But he's there saying exactly what a lot of other people are trying. Like Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman came out and said that how do you get rid of racism? You stop talking about it. Right? You stop talking about the division. Stop making divides. That's what Morgan Freeman said, and that's what Samuel Jackson has. He has the same idea. And just say, I don't care.
He's not like what this guy is. He's just not. He's just not.
I think the reason why he got on the board, it could be other reasons too, but one of the reasons why he was accepted on board is because he wanted Afro Samurai to have the coolest voice, which is understandable, because Samuel Jackson voices Afro Samurai and Ninja, which is Afro Samurai's, what turns out to be his imaginary best friend, which is actually a connection to his humanity he's leaving behind, all of his human emotions and things. So while Afro Samurai is murdering people by the dozen, and remaining stoic. Ninja is on the side saying, "Whoa, that's dark. Why are you so brutal? Like, this is awful. This is nasty." He's just commenting on all the gore and the violence. That's what he's there for. So
One
it's
of the
that Ninja is basically just the humanity and the natural human emotions and the reactions that Afro Samurai is tossed aside.
There's a video I'd actually like us to watch next time. It's Samuel Jackson answers the internet's most asked questions, and one of the parts that I liked that was fun was, because they tried to get political with him and then he wouldn't budge. They were just like, "Oh, Samuel Jackson on Trump," and he was like, "I don't want to be on Trump. That's just nasty." Like, he was just having fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, he went a little woke when the Captain Marvel movie came out. He's like, "I already cashed that check. I don't care what you guys say." He defended it on that stuff, kind of turned against the fans a little bit, but
That's a shame.
I think it was too bad. I don't think it was too bad. I don't know. I don't remember. It was still.
That's a shame when that happens. I hate that.
Yeah, he bent the knee on that one. But before that, he was kind of pushing freedom. He's probably pushing the idea of breaking down these divides rather than making new ones. See, Rock and Tails for $9.99. Villain named Justice killed Black Dad to be number one. Yeah, that's what happens in the beginning of the first movie. Justice, which is voiced by Ron Perlman, and Afro Samurai's dad, they were once friends, but they had different views on how to deal with the headbands, which is basically you get the number one headband, you're kind of a god, and if you get the number two headband, you're the only guy in the world who can challenge number one. But if you get the number two headband, and people want that number two headband so they can challenge number one, but you don't get the protections that the number one does. If you have the number two headband, anyone in the world can challenge you. So that's kind of Afro Samurai's goal is to get the number two headband, so he can go after Justice, who has the number one. And if he doesn't have the number two headband, he can't challenge him. So
that sounds awesome.
They fight each other.
I was about to say that sounds very samurai, and then I realized, well, hence the name.
Yeah, Afro Samurai. It's really good. It's really good. So that's why, hence the course for revenge. Let's see, Nova Zero. Thank you for the 5. I prefer Sunflower Samurai because of civil rights and New Jabs. Yeah, exactly. Samurai Champloo explored that too. The rights of how Christians were oppressed, how looking into how homosexuals were oppressed in their native countries. It started as a conversation about some progressive nonsense and activism. This guy. Yeah. If this guy took it over, the Samurai Champloo is be all about the activism. It's an activism series. But yeah, it does go into the fact that there are some ideas about how Christians were oppressed during that time in Japan, which they were. I mean, Christians were being killed. There was a Christian purge because
there was.
And then there was the fact that homosexuals, like that one of my favorite episodes, they were being either oppressed or just being neglected in their home country. So he came to Japan for liberation. And the homosexuality is kind of a theme in Samurai Champloo altogether. But it's explored maturely. It's very interesting. And of course, you got New Jabs in there. Who doesn't love New Jabs? Fantastic. Thank you for that, Nova Zero. Appreciate it. Let's see. All right, we're caught up. Let's go ahead and continue.
Let's continue.
Jr.'s funeral and mover in the Black Power scene. So a creative collaboration was born between Jackson, Okazaki, and Gonzo, with the score eventually being produced by the legendary leader of the Wu-Tang Clan, the RZA. This is where Afro Samurai stands entirely alone, a Japanese creator collaborating with a Japanese animation studio.
RZA, I think he's pretty cool, actually. I think he's just really obsessed, or not obsessed, but he's really interested in Japanese culture because he went on to make Man with the Iron Fist, which is a return to I don't think Japanese, but like Chinese kung fu. He made the Man with the Iron Fist. He made the Man with the Iron Fist 2. Not the Netflix series, but like his own production. The first one had Russell Crowe. Had some very interesting people in there. I forgot who else was in there actually. We had Lucy Liu in there. I know that. And it had that guy, that Chinese actor who usually plays bad guys. He was the bad guy in Olympus Has Fallen. He usually plays bad guys, but in that one, he was a good guy. It was kind of off-putting. Oh, it had Batista in there, too. He played Bronze Body. But it was very interesting. So I think RZA was really interested in this because maybe because it had a black main character, sure. But I think also because he was very interested in Eastern culture in general. I see Mark in 3D, in which of the 400 huffs of internet gas. I want a Afro Samurai Rurouni Kitchen crossover. There's a fan made Afro Samurai Mugen from Samurai Champloo crossover. It's pretty interesting. I think we'll watch it on Friday, maybe. It's pretty interesting stuff. But there is a crossover, and they're actually planning a bigger crossover next, because at the end of that one, the people who made it teased Samurai Jack coming into the fray, and they're going to do like a 7 Samurai, but with like Mugen from Samurai Champloo, Afro Samurai, maybe Samurai Jack, obviously, and then a few other really popular samurai characters. And let's see, Samurai Enter Dragon. The RZA grew up watching kung fu movies. Yeah, it looked like that. It looked that way. So I really like that guy. I really like RZA. He has good music. He makes interesting movies. I like The Man with the Iron Fist. He had a lot of problems, sure, but it was very interesting nonetheless. He really knows how to. It's kind of like Kojima. He really knows how to put together his craziness into a very digestible, entertaining package.
Studio, but voiced in English by the highest box office grossing actor, let alone black actor in the world, accompanied by a score from one of the most influential black American musical artists in recent history. Suddenly, this little self-produced manga was being backed by major names in entertainment, and that is not a coincidence. Afro Samurai is still one of the only anime to host a lead role by a black character, and that was obviously a big deal to the likes of the RZA and Samuel L. Jackson, and it should be. Up until this point, where we began to see characters like the Raikage and Killer Bee and eventually Canary from Hunter x Hunter who accurately depict realistic looking black people, anime had either been insulting to or simply vacant of black characters. However, black and Asian culture had been cross-pollinating since the old Wu-Tang films of the late...
What do you think?
Cultural is mostly because like it's not really something on the minds of the people on these anime making these, because when they look around and they see seas of people who are the exact same race as them, they don't really think about other races. And
plus this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. A lot of black people love Dragon Ball. I don't know why he's showing Dragon Ball.
I guess it's the fact that a lot of Eastern works, they kind of have less than favorable depictions of other races. But that's it in general. Like they have less than favorable depictions of Americans in general, British people in general. Basically, anyone who's not Japanese gets poked fun at in anime every once in a while.
Not even the women are properly depicted. I know you mean the plot and the giant eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just having fun with it. They make jokes out of people. That's kind of what they do. I don't
Even
really
out of
see
the
any
normal Asians, they're making jokes that every Asian just stereotypically everything his own mind just work, even if it fucking kills him.
Yeah. The Japanese culture, as far as I've understood it, has been explained to me, is that you have to do your best at all times. You're expected to do your best at the very least.
And they're making
Don't listen to this guy.
Anime.
Don't listen to this guy. Black people love Dragon Ball.
Also, I think the only really malicious depictions they have are of Chinese people.
Yeah,
It's actually like a running gag. It's actually like a running gag with that.
More or less, yeah.
60s found their way into cheap cinemas in the Bronx and Harlem. For an America still finding its way after the assassination of Martin Luther Jr., seeing any person of color take a powerful role on the big screen was an inspirational thing. By the time we received Dragon Ball Z regularly in America, anime already had a foothold in the black community. For anime enthusiasts like Jackson and the RZA, finding a creator like Okazaki who inspired by African American art like hip-hop and soul music, a Japanese man who used that inspiration to highlight that medium and its creators in his work, instead of just making black characters the rare once-off, gave representation to a black audience in a traditional Japanese-dominated but very Caucasian-looking art form. For more on that, check out our video on Dragon Ball Z's Forgotten History, but for now, let's talk about the show and Afro himself. Afro Samurai has a straightforward plot. There's 2 headbands, number 1 and number 2. The owner of number 1 is treated like a god, the best swordsman in the world, while the owner of number 2 can challenge number 1 for his position as the best. But
one thing on that, it's not necessarily a swordsman. Justice, he uses guns. He has a sword that he actually uses to win the fight, because he has a hidden third arm on the back of his back. But it's not necessarily the swordsman. It's just warrior in general. So you can be like a gunner, or you can be like a guy who uses magic or whatever it is.
Just drop a nuke.
Yeah, pretty much. You can drop a nuke as long as you can keep it. You can keep the number one headband. But the moment someone gets who gets number 2 is better than you and beats you, well, then you're done. No longer are you the number 1. You're dead, and the new guy takes on the role as number 1. But it's not necessarily a swordsman. It's just a warrior.
I love this concept.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah,
It's very
it's
basic. It
amazing.
allows you to explore bigger.
The thing is, I never thought Afro Samurai was trying to say, like, I never saw it as one of those woke things.
Oh,
I just saw it as very stylistic.
It absolutely is not woke in the least.
Yeah,
not
something
not
like
even a little
the-
bit.
But this guy's making it sound like it is wrongfully.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with like it doesn't go into like the idea what they usually wanted black characters to talk about. If they have like a piece of media that has a black main character, it does not. Afro Samurai does not explore the ideas and the themes and the concepts that they usually want that story to explore. I remember seeing something that was along the lines of an SJW lining out what they should include in a woke, diverse story, or quote unquote inclusive story. And that's if they have minority characters, they need to have minority characters in there. They need to have representation in there, and it needs to also be a section where these minority characters talk about racism and stuff like that for a little bit.
I know, like they actually want to almost break the fourth wall with their casting.
Exactly. What they want to do, what's mandatory in these stories, is to have minority characters, and regardless of the plot, even if it doesn't fit in there,
You gotta make it part of the plot. Yeah.
you gotta have them turn to the audience and say, "Did you know racism is bad?" And then they can return to the plot.
Yeah, they wanted Afro Samurai to look at the screen and be like, "By the way, I'm black," and then get back to the story.
The thing is, there's no racism in this show. There's no like oh, that guy's black, therefore you have to kick him out of the diner or whatever. If there's anything, if anyone is adverse to Afro Samurai, it's because he has a reputation of murdering everybody. He's introduced in the show, in the movie, killing off a bunch of people. He's a dangerous man, and he has a reputation for being a dangerous man. That's the only adversity he comes across.
Well, but like like it's like look at the art style, look at the title of the show. It's all style. These were stylistic decisions.
Exactly.
It's all part of the aesthetic. It isn't a woke thing. At least I don't think it is.
Not in the least. Not in the least is it woke. In fact, I'm pretty sure if the woke people got a hold of this on mass, they would try to cancel it because they depict
because they would say it's objectifying blackness or some bullshit.
Or something. But it's not woke in the least. It's 0% woke. It's absolutely 0% woke. But there's no talk of racism or anything like that because no one's racist towards him. There's no racism in here. There's not one racist character, as long as I remember, in Afro Samurai. The only adversity there's only two pieces of adversity he comes across. That's one, regular people don't like him because he has a reputation of being a murderer, the demon of revenge, and two, because he has the number 2 headband and everyone wants it, so everyone wants to kill him for it.
That's the thing. This sounds like something out of a comic book. It has a lot of personality to it.
Yeah, it is. It does. It has a lot of like I say, there's a balance between high concept stuff and simple plot. Because if you have a complex plot, you kind of have to focus more on the plot because it's so complex, versus a simple plot where you have a simple plot like Afro Samurai, which is just basic revenge. But the simplicity of the plot allows you to go more.
It allows you to explore complexity in the characters as opposed to the plot structure in itself.
Complexity in the characters, complexity in the themes. There's an opposing group called the MT7 that kind of they're like monks, but they listen to hip hop and stuff. It's really interesting. But they fight him. Some of them fight, some of them don't. Everyone loves this one brother who actually makes it to the second movie because he just when Afro Samurai arrives, Afro Samurai has beaten. He's torn through all these other guys, other people, the MT7, and he's torn through bodyguards and soldiers and even an android clone of him. And when he arrives, it's awesome. It sounds like awesome. It's awesome stuff, and it's a really epic fight too. But when he goes to the inside the building, this one brother is like he just kneels down. He offers him tea. He's like, "Please, can you give me the headband?" And that's it. That's his whole move to get the headband. Let's see here. Rock and Sailors for $1.99. If I talk fast enough, I won't have to explain things. Yeah, exactly. Or is that a jab at me? But yeah, this guy he's not really explaining much. He's just dropping facts that may correlate to his points, and that we have
Here we
to
go.
connect there.
Here we go. Drake the Duelist. Not enough black characters. Black exploitation.
Yeah.
Not enough black characters.
He's
The
basically tapping
specific
into-
complaint is just a phrase. Rage is eternal.
It's
Pretty
basically tapping
much.
into the idea of blaxploitation. I don't know, maybe that's offensive, but I personally like the blaxploitation stuff. I like what Rodriguez did with his I
Because
guess
it's style.
with what's it called, Nexploitation? Because Machete, those movies, those were an attempt at Hispanic exploitation or whatever. What do you want to call it? I don't know what it is, but I like those movies too. They're fantastic. Machete, it's just
Well, just look at the term we're looking at, though. Exploitation. Like, X, I mean, like, put in whatever. It's like, it's because they're taking something and they're exploring its stylistic virtue.
yeah, it's supposed to be a lot of fun. They had sexploitation with like the women in chains and women in prison and all that stuff like that.
You're taking the aesthetic and implementing it.
It's basically it's basically a genre. It's a stylistic genre, and
Pretty much.
usually kung fu movies are kind of like that too. It's like it's kind of an exploitation movie too. Until they made it smarter with movies like Ip Man and stuff like that. Usually you have the basic kung fu movie where it's just kung fu. It's just a bunch of kung fu moves and guys just going out through a plot. Just so we can see some guys do kung fu. It's really cool. I see Nova Zero, then which is 5. New Jammers love the music, the rhythm, the rhyme. It was the music. This is an actual appropriation. Also, Asians don't like China, and we're xenophobic. Yeah, I kind of got that from some of the anime I've watched from Japan. Japan does not like China. Okay, even if you look at the history, between Japan and China, Japan really doesn't like China, and China really doesn't
Who
like.
does even?
Zero Speed, this guy is talking out of his bottom end. I know a lot of black people who love the Dragon Ball series as well as other anime. Yeah, because it's funny because it's actually sort of a joke among the Dragon Ball community is that a lot of black people secretly like the show, but they don't want to tell other people about it.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. See what I mean? As like I said earlier, if they don't want to tell you that they like the show, it's because they're embarrassed that they like the show. So if they get caught, they'll say, "Well, this other guy likes the show. No, who cares?"
Yeah, that's kind of where that was a big one. Was black people that didn't want to admit that they liked Dragon Ball because they didn't want anyone to think that they weren't cool.
Exactly.
That was it's kind of a running gag in that community. So I mean, and I don't know what this guy thinks he's talking about when it came to that.
But yeah, there is
I just don't think that was a good example.
There is
I don't think Dragon Ball was a good example for his argument.
Yeah, maybe not. But there is a actual cultural awakening or a cultural movement in Japan that they really like African American culture. It's kind of why I like Samurai Champloo and Samurai Champloo in particular, because it kind of embodies both the cool rhythm and the smooth rhymes of hip hop with the breakdancing and these other kind of like the culture of the hip hop culture with the samurai culture.
Yeah, and they're beating the shit out of each other. It's great.
It's really interesting. And so that's why I like Afro Samurai. It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of how you can see Samurai Champloo and Afro Samurai existing in the same world, even though they obviously don't. Because Afro Samurai lives in a world that's like feudal Japan, except you can have androids and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really over the top, and it's really interesting setting.
So basically something like Samurai Jack?
Yeah, basically like Samurai Jack.
Samurai Black.
Almost, yeah, pretty much. I could technically see Afro Samurai and Samurai Jack living in the same universe almost.
I kind of want to see that now. Samurai Black. Come on, that's cool.
Where's Ninja Black? We need the ninja. Those are black.
Let's see here. Anyway.
Anyone can challenge number 2 for the headband. This creates a relatively peaceful and godlike life for the owner of number 1, but a life filled with killing and constant attacks for number 2. The series begins with Afro as a kid following his father, the owner of the number 1 headband. He gets challenged by a man who I can only assume is an American old Western style cowboy named Justice, who fights and on a final unexpected killing stroke beheads Afro's father. taking the #1 headband for himself. And so Afro grows up with a heart filled with hate and driven by thoughts of revenge, of finding the #2 headband, challenging Justice, and killing him as revenge for his father's untimely death. The story progresses, flashing back and forth between time periods, showing Afro growing up and learning his sword techniques in his past before returning to the present day as he dispatches men by the dozen with a cold and almost soulless demeanor. It's a show that thrives on the design work and animation. The story is merely a device to bring Afro from one fight to another, so Okazaki's design...
That's the best fight in the movie, the first movie, where he's fighting... I forget what his name was, but he's called a teddy bear samurai, because in the show he has a big teddy bear mask for his head. Mainly because they used to be best friends, and what happened with Afro Samurai is that Afro was pretty much left for dead by Justice. He wanted the world. Some thugs took his headband and I think even took his father's head. I think because he carried around his father's head in a backpack until it decayed, and they took everything away from him. And then he was taken in by a master, and the master had also taken in a bunch of other orphans and stuff. And he taught. That's where he began his lessons in the way of the sword.
I really like this a
Gino.
lot.
His name was Gino. That's what it was.
I like this a lot because when you think about it, I've thought about this specific topic a lot with mixed martial arts and stuff. How it's like, well, when you judge the competence of one's ability to fight, if someone doesn't have to focus on anything other than training, they can probably get very good at it, as opposed to someone that's forced to fight, where they might, here's why I'm bringing that up. So here you have a dynamic of a hierarchy, right? Where it looks like you would think #1 is essentially doomed because #2 has no choice but to basically become the shit. But the thing is, #1, if there's someone with a lot of discipline, all that time they can be training.
Yeah, I mean, that's what in fact Justice in the beginning of the movie, he actually gives Afro Samurai the #2 headband. He says, "Okay, go come challenge me, if you think you're up for it." You know have you ever seen?
I like that a lot.
Have you ever seen Kill Bill? And when she kills Vanita Green, and then the daughter is watching her kill her mom, and she goes, if you still feel raw about it, come find me. Come challenge me. Basically the same thing Justice does to Afro Samurai, but. As I said, that some thugs come in and they steal his headband, and they run off with the #2 headband, and essentially
Reminds me of Conan.
Yeah, the guy comes in, tears down his whole life, and he spends the rest of his life trying to get revenge. That's essentially kind of what happens here. And then so Afro Samurai, he gets adopted by this master. He makes friends. They get close to each other. He discovers his love for lemonade. No one else loves lemonade. Like everyone else hates lemonade, but he loves lemonade. This is why it's his favorite drink in the show. And so it's really tragic because it's very saccharine, very almost Disney-esque how wonderful they all get along with each other. And Gino, his best friend Gino, became like his a friendly rival because Gino loves Afro Samurai, as a friend, as a friend. Okay.
But not in a gay way or anything.
No, of course not. Yeah, it goes without saying.
Oh God, if this show was woke.
I know they would say that, okay, that obviously Gino and Afro Samurai were a couple. No, it was as a friend. They're best friends. So the thing is, Afro Samurai I think for a little while, he let go of his drive for revenge, but he got it back as soon as it was mentioned again. So he went on not a killing spree, so to speak, but he eventually started killing people in search of the #2 headband. And that's essentially what happened. And then the thing is, he never let go of it after that. So that led to him killing the master, because it turned out that he found out that eventually the master kind of attained the #2 headband and is just keeping it. He's just keeping it hidden so that no one else can attain it, so that no one else can to stop the cycle of revenge. Because what the headbands represent is a cycle of revenge, the endless cycle of revenge. Some guy gets the #2 headband, some guy kills him for the #2 headband. Eventually, some guy challenges #1. #2 headband goes back into circulation, and the cycle repeats over and over and over and over. A cycle of violence is never ending. So what the master wanted to do was take the #2 headband, which he got because he's that good, and then keep it hidden so no one else can get it. That's essentially what Justice and Afro Samurai's dad were debating about. That's why they fought against each other. They had different views on how to do this. I think Justice's view was that he keeps number one headband, and he just keeps challenging people until people just give up. And then I think Afro Samurai's dad wanted to keep it hidden or something. I forgot exactly what their motivations were, but
couldn't someone just burn the headband?
I think so. I don't know how vulnerable they are because they go through a lot, especially the number two headband. It goes through a lot, like bombs and all kinds of nonsense, and it stays intact. So I don't know if they're invincible.
Is it made out of some kind of sacred material that's explained in the lore, or do you just not touch on it? Because sometimes it's better to not touch on it.
Yeah, they keep it vague. They keep the origins vague. They keep the nature of it vague. It's pretty interesting. But eventually, Afro Samurai says he's given a choice, essentially. Either live the rest of his life with his friends and give up on his pursuit of revenge, or kill his master. And he chooses to kill his master. And because he got the number two headband, a lot of guys immediately swarmed in and attacked them to get that number two headband for themselves. And they all got together and they fought. But because of Afro Samurai's greed and ambition...
Well, they weren't voiced by Samuel Jackson.
No, not everyone.
Yeah, so you know they're going to die.
Exactly. They did. That's exactly what happens. Exactly why Gino has a teddy bear mask is because he essentially died during that fight. Everyone else died. All of Afro Samurai's friends died because of his ambitions, including Gino, except he was brought back to life by mechanics. So he's kind of like half human by the time that comes around. He's constantly crying in the movie because he's so hurt by Afro Samurai. What he sees as Afro Samurai's betrayal. Also, the reason why he's a teddy bear mask is because there was a little girl in there who was everyone's like little sister type. All for Afro Samurai's need for revenge. And so Gino sees him as the ultimate enemy because he betrayed him. And so that's why the last fight is so emotional and so powerful, because he needs to fight. He needs to kill Gino again in order to attain his goals. And he does. He does. Although it's a very powerful fight because Afro Samurai still has that humanity in him where he still needs that friend in Gino. But again, no topic of racism or anything like that. Okay.
Titanic Tuna, is this video another mediocre mess? Kind of. It's carried by the topic. It's carried by the subject matter.
And he's trying to connect it to like civil rights and stuff, which Afro Samurai is not.
It isn't accurate.
Yeah, it's just this is the character is black. That's it. That's the only connection.
I remember when I was younger, I could tell just by the promotional material that it wasn't woke. Just by the promotional material, you can tell it was all style.
It's all style. It's a very good. I recommend Afro Samurai because it's not just about violence. It's not just like a popcorn flick. Okay, the reason I wanted to watch this video in the first place is because of The Last of Us 2. This is
really,
this is exploring the same exact theme of revenge is bloody and it's terrible that the Last of Us 2 is claiming to want to convey. But this is a way better, way more visceral, and way more profound manner.
Kind of a funny coincidence because of, the story that I'm working on.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get into that, but it's just a funny coincidence, isn't it?
It kind of is. Let's see here. Rocket Tailors for the R99. Robbie Rotten was the original number 1, Mr. Krabs. Oh, was he? Was the original voice? That's interesting. I know Ron Perlman ended up being Justice, and they actually had. Funny enough, in the second movie, they're actually like statues to Justice, celebrating him, because his plan actually worked for a while. Because he was the unstoppable number 1. He started destroying all this. Apparently, there's a bunch of other headbands too for some reason, and he started collecting all those. And he eventually changed his mind on letting the number 2 go out into circulation. And he wanted to attain all the headbands so the violence would stop. So he's kind of a bad guy, but he's like a bad guy with apparently pure motivations.
I always love it. I've always loved the idea for the longest time of any fictional work that incorporates anything Holy Grail-esque, hence the headbands. More specifically, anytime there's some kind of combat-focused social status hierarchy.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I really like that. And yeah, the number 1 headband is essentially the Holy Grail. Everyone wants number 1. Everyone wants number 2 headband so they can get a chance at getting the number 1 headband. Because if you're number 1 headband, you're essentially a god. As Mikan, The number 2 headband is made invulnerable by the Japanese god known as the Rule of Cool. Yeah, pretty much. The thing is, if you're the number 1 headband, you are pretty much a god. I mean, when he
The Rule of Cool. How self-aware can you get?
Yeah, Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, especially Afro Samurai. Rule of Cool is a huge, heavy hitter element in these shows. It's kind of like I like it, but it's not just relying on the Rule of Cool. They use the Rule of Cool as a spice, rather than a main ingredient.
Yes,
So it makes it
you
better.
can tell. Well, you can tell because look at all the substance we have here, and this is just us talking about it. We've only watched this video for what, like 6 minutes, not even. And look how long we're talking about it. I mean, granted, we do that with everything, but still.
Exactly. But the Afro Samurai is such a rich movie, despite how it might appear at first.
Mhm.
That it's worth talking about. I really like this movie, but it's not. Unfortunately for this guy, sorry to say, it really doesn't have anything to do with civil rights.
It's good
and-
for good reasons. It's not stupid.
Yeah,
This guy thinks it's stupid because he's stupid.
exactly. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, let's go.
Is going to have more time in the action. But for what I want to talk about today, the story is still vitally important. The plot continues with Afro being thrown into danger over and over as multiple groups attempt to snatch away the number 2 headband. Despite it making him the, quote, second best swordsman in all the world, all types of challengers fight Afro. Anything from a crossbow man to an RPG man to a fucking Terminator. His only friend and companion Ninja is like his hype man, providing commentary on most of Afro's fights. Ninja likely represents Afro's true personality, the part of him that got buried and destroyed through the destruction of everyone in his wake. As a constant cold killer, he needed to burn the part of him with emotion, with doubt, love, wants, desires, dreams, silliness, everything that doesn't have to do with his blade. And as Afro progresses closer to his goal, we see him lose more and more of the things that are important to him: his friends, his peers, his master's dojo, along with the sword master who taught him, the girl who possibly was the only love interest in Afro's entire life, and eventually his companion, who's really no more than an imaginary friend. Ninja's death at the hand of Jino, one of Afro's old friends and peers, is important. It symbolizes the death of Afro the person,
Yeah,
leaving only
absolutely. That's one of another theme of well, it's kind of tied into the main theme that psycho revenge is terrible. It's not really worth it. And there's a theme in there that Afro Samurai, he loses everything that's precious to him in his pursuit of revenge. Like he wants revenge so badly that he's willing to toss away love. He's willing to toss away close friendships and companions, toss it all the way for the sake of revenge. And at the very end, he gets his revenge, but nothing else. He ends up at the very end. He wins, but really he loses. He ends up as an empty person, empty shell of a person at the very end. But the only thing in his life that he can really claim is the reputation of being a demon of revenge. He's just a murderer in everyone's eyes.
Nova Zero, this guy is why racism exists. He's a fine example.
It's to attach racism to everything, I guess.
He's a fine example.
only Afro the samurai. And it's only after Ninja died that Afro begins truly fighting Jino, showing that the last shred of humanity, the only thing that kept him from being able to kill a friend, is gone. It creates a visceral reaction watching someone slowly lose their humanity and everything important in their life for the sake of one goal, knowing that goal won't bring the peace and life they seek. And at the end of the journey, we see the same cycle repeating in Jino. The story locks onto that idea that hatred only breeds more hatred, but here's what hit me the hardest. After all the pain, after all the suffering Afro goes through to take revenge for his father's death, he finally succeeds and obtains the #1 headband, only to get challenged by his childhood friend Jino. Yet,
one funny thing about the last battle with Justice is that Afro Samurai's Afro actually saves his life at the end, because Justice can control the world, the room he's in, and the way he killed a bunch of the other headband owners is that he has spikes that just grow out of the ground and stab them in the head and decapitate them instantly. So they have a bunch of skulls being impaled on pikes all around him. He does the same thing to Afro Samurai. He thinks he kills him instantly, but he misses his head and stabs his Afro instead. So that's how Afro Samurai is able to get.
That's pretty great.
Okay, now I'm gonna get Afro grow up.
Yeah, it might save your life one day. So that's one thing I guess is kind of connected to it, where his Afro actually saves his life.
It's like foreshadowment, technically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Again. As the final scene comes to a close, with Jinno and Afro about to face off, the screen fades to black as Afro and Ninja Ninja's voices say in unison. And so, the never-ending battle continues.
On and on and on and on.
Alright, cut the music. I don't think it's a coincidence that the man who killed Afro's father to take the #1 headband was a white
You
man
wearing a
named
neck
Justice.
brace?
I also don't think it's a coincidence that
Oh, your commentary was fine, I guess. Now you're saying, okay, I don't think it's a coincidence it's a white man named
Oh, no,
Justice.
that's a tattoo. Okay.
Oh, come on.
I thought he was wearing a neck brace for a second.
We're getting to the nonsense. Here we go. Let me go ahead and
He
rewind.
just looks like a fucking millennial. Like
I haven't been able to
boy.
pay much attention to what he's saying because it's just like
Movie Bob-esque.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, and then, you know, he went over there, and then it was ultimate, audacious, auspicious, creative explosions. And I'm just like, oh my God, can you chill out? Like,
Then there was
and
this
further
black
on
guy.
into adventures that led down Maturity Road. Like,
Okay, well, now we're getting to the nonsense of the video, apparently. Now we're getting to the real stuff. So
All right, guys, ready to hear from this weird white guy?
no.
let's see. Let's see how this is
My
raised.
video, I've just been so. Not only do I not care about anime or this particular anime, it's just his explanation of the anime is not exactly great either, or interesting to me.
Let's see here. Well, we're going to read the nonsense about how this is racist or something. Apparently, I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that the guy who stole the headband was a white man named Justice. Okay.
All right, stop the video for a second. Fuck Trump. No.
Fuck Batman.
Here's the thing.
Fuck Batman.
I don't think it's a coincidence that the man who killed Afro's father to take the #1 headband was a white man
Cowboy.
named Justice.
Oh,
Me, baby! I cut your father's head off. Now you gotta kill me.
Not a coincidence. Maybe
Come to
he
me,
was a character.
Samuel.
Maybe just a
look at
character.
me.
Maybe
I'm
if
an
the-
evil white guy.
Maybe if the whole world was filled with other, Afro samurai, then he wouldn't really be unique. That's why it's called Afro Samurai. People know him because of his afro, because it's so unique in that world.
man, it's so dumb. It's almost like the whole thing is called Afro Samurai, and it's just about like
A samurai that has an afro.
But let's be real. Let's be really real. I mean,
One thing, if this were
Race.
the Boondocks, okay, if this were the Boondocks, maybe he might have a point. But this is Afro Samurai with not even remotely does it touch on racism or anything like that.
it's
Or
just
race in
fun.
general.
I hate that shit because like I'm used to all the different sides of this arguments. I love the Boondocks. I don't agree with that shit. I don't.
The Boondocks
I mean,
makes
I don't-
fun of that stuff.
The Boondocks
Yeah,
makes
it's
fun of
funny.
itself, but it's also it makes points like that I don't agree with. Like I love Huey, but I also disagree with like Huey's politics. I think that he's off base. But then at the same time, the show has like evolutions and it deals with complexity in a way that people are not really prepared for. So just like the movie Bob thing that I think we were doing earlier, or whatever, where it's like, and his eyes turn blue. This sounds to me exactly the same as like, and the guy was white.
I don't
And
think
you're
it's
like, man,
coincidence
shut
that
the
white
fuck
man-
up and watch the movie.
A white man named Justice. No, there's not even remotely any talk of race in this movie, or either of them, the series or the movie. Okay, nowhere is there to be found except that Afro Samurai happens to be black.
No, but you're forgetting everything is political, so there is
I
some
don't-
kind of politics in
I
there.
don't think that's a coincidence. This guy has a neck tattoo. What is
Yeah.
that dog whistle for?
You see, if you pause it here and you see this man falling over, you see this little reptoid come out of the ground. No, you don't always see this reptoid on the first viewing, but that's exactly what they want you to think.
Yeah, they wanted to slide it by you. The thing is, Afro Samurai is apolitical. They hate the fact that it's apolitical, I guess, because that's what it is. It's apolitical. The only thing, when
Yeah,
it's
anytime anyone is ever in anything that's apolitical that isn't a white guy, they think that they're being objectified.
they have to attach politics to it. The thing is,
Yeah,
Afro
they
Samurai-
have to. It's funny how much they're projecting. Like, just because it has a black guy in it doesn't mean you have to objectify the black guy for your democratic politics. Just
Exactly.
because there's a woman in something doesn't mean you have to project your objectification on her for your politics. You're the one objectifying. Oh my god, I feel like a dick just for thinking about it.
Go anyway. Gojira 387 says maybe cowboy visual style is the only archetype they can contrast with an Afro samurai visual archetype on pure image versus image basis. And to that, I have to say, anybody that wants to think about the reason why the Afro samurai faces off against justice, think about the movie Yojimbo and the fact that it's I'm forgetting his name for some reason. Takeshi Kitano's popping in my head again. That'll be relevant later. But
Mifune?
Toshiro Mifune, yeah. So he's there and he's got to fight a guy with what? A pistol.
Yeah.
Because it's the juxtaposition of modernity and the old style weapons. I mean, it's the same thing as like having blasters versus swords with Jedi and stuff. It's obvious that the way of the sword is going to be considered a higher effort, is more dangerous. And here's this guy taking the easy way out with the gun and stuff.
And there's a reason why
you can play into cowboy shit any way you want to. You can say it's a racial thing, or you can just say, oh, it's fucking cowboys and samurai. It's cool. They go together.
Yeah, they do. There's a reason why Yojimbo was remade into a Clint Eastwood movie. I think it's called For a Few Dollars More or Fistful of Dollars. One of those.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
It was one of those two. It was remade, and they made Clint Eastwood made a. Well, he didn't make it, but it was remade into a Clint Eastwood Western movie, Yojimbo, and then Seven Samurai. Well, that's Magnificent Seven. It's just redone with cowboys, because cowboys and samurai have a very unique, very
Fistful of Dollars.
A lot of parallel. Yeah, Fistful of Dollars. A lot of parallels to it. A lot of parallels because samurai, the traditional samurai characters, like the guy who wanders around towns and gets into trouble. He's like the best swordsman. The gunman is the same thing. He's the best gunman around.
Absolutely. The cowboy and the samurai are basically similar characters. It's just that the difference between Eastern culture and Western culture is still exactly the same today, I think, which is awesome, which is that Western culture is more modern. It's more about freedom. It's more about individualism and expression. And Eastern culture is more about hierarchies, honor, linearity, and it has to do with the wideness of the West. And whenever those two things come together, whenever East and West come together in like a cool musical mixture and all that stuff with martial arts, it's the best. It's the best. Like, you just get a vibe with it, because think about what brings together all different races in so many different ways. You have RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. You have the Kung Fu movies that he was watching, which I have a special project related to that. And I have a backstory here that I want to talk about later, but I'm going to let this go.
There's something called weebs. They're really into Japanese anime.
Exactly, yeah.
Whatever a person is who's obsessed with Kung Fu movies that's more or less what I am. I really love Kung Fu movies.
Me too. I love Kung Fu movies. I love and then anime is like the 2D animated version of a Kung Fu movie, and it's just Japanese did that, and I like that. And I also like the the kaiju big battle stuff. But the point I was making was that there is a strain of every culture that likes anime. Anime brings the world together in so many ways. I've never met an anime fan that is exactly the same as every other anime fan of every ethnicity. Like the Mexican anime fans, the Asian anime fans. The only thing that changes between them is who they are enjoying. It's like, oh, that's a Death Note fan. Oh, that guy likes Konosuba or whatever. Like, it's whatever. And bringing together all these elements is really cool. So I think it's a shame whenever people try to do this, because the social justice thing to me is just like somebody that's trying to
of what should be
someone trying to lecture you and have power over you and alter your behavior to go with their cult-like behavior. And so they're like, oh, well, don't you see this flaw or this shit? And you're like, man, I was enjoying the Boondock. I was enjoying that moment, I was enjoying when R. Kelly was dancing, and I was enjoying, and I felt something, and I cried or whatever when Brother Shabazz was about to be executed. I'm right there with other people. They forget that it's like, look, man, I am not a race first. I was born to this. We all were born to this without a choice. So like, I don't understand why people are so racist in the anti-racist area. Can you just chill for a second? Enjoy
this for 999. Justice of overwhelming power versus samurai of honor. Yeah, Justice is a lot less honorable than Afro Samurai's dad. He's like the honorable samurai, and Justice is like a guy who'd win fights doing anything.
Absolutely. And here's the question: is there anything that Justice does that gives him any kind of like racial anything?
No, I'm not even sure he's white. I'm not even sure he's human. If you look at Justice's design, he might not even be human. I don't know what he is. He looks really strange. He's very lanky, especially when you.
Didn't you say he had a third arm or some shit?
Yeah, he's a third arm on his back. I don't know what he is exactly. He's a mutant or something. So
that's great.
White man, maybe he's a white
General
man.
Grievous.
Yes, General Grievous, but with guns instead. So he's uncivilized. Let's see here. Let's check it out. Yeah, it was Fistful of Dollars. A few dollars more is where he meets Lee Van Cleef. Where Lee Van Cleef is a good guy in that one, more or less.
Yeah,
he's like a rival bounty hunter. That was a good one too. But he's out for revenge also against the guy who killed his sister.
Let's see, Gojira 387. Some estimates place that 25% of the historical cowboys in the frontier era of America were black. Interesting.
That's pretty neat. I like that.
So Justice, the thing about him is that there was like a toxic waste incident.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Well, one parallel I like is that between samurai and cowboy and the traditional cowboy, that the fights kind of go the same way. You know, the traditional cowboy, traditional samurai fight is two samurai.
You know, the one slash or the one bullet,
slash, and then the one.
It is kind of the same idea, isn't it?
Same idea, because it's not about the long elongated fight like you get in
Dragon Ball or Naruto or something.
Yeah, it's about the skill.
It's just that one hit.
Two masters coming together to duke it out with one move deciding who lives and who dies.
It's like this immediate apex of challenge. It isn't a long-term thing.
But that's why kung fu movies are fun, because it's not like the samurai movies are like, all right, one blow, one strike, like ultimate. And then the kung fu movies are like the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the kung fu movies do really well at long fights, while the cowboys and the samurai are really good at just building the tension up so that you can lead up to the one deciding factor.
Bedroom buddy, Justice killed Afro's dad over a disagreement on how to bring peace.
Yes, that's what it was. It was a disagreement on how to bring peace because they had a disagreement over.
So what the hell's this prick talking about?
I don't know.
He's white.
I keep saying this. There was not even one single hint of anything racial in this show, other than the main character happens to be black. That's it. No racism, no mention that he's black or anything like that. Just that he happens to be black. That's it. That's the only thing that even remotely connects to anything racial.
I also don't think it's a coincidence that number 1 gets to sit and be God, while number 2 has to fight every day just to survive.
Oh my god!
It's not a coincidence. It's the plot. they did it on purpose. Your whole big criticism here is that the main plot wasn't a coincidence. Congratulations. Very astute.
Awful.
God, do we have to watch the next 8 minutes?
What do you say?
Do we have to watch the next 8 minutes?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. It's our moral obligation.
At least for a little while longer.
I just realized I've been muted this entire time.
Oh, you didn't realize?
I was trying to talk.
Rip. So bad.
Anyway.
Please don't make us watch it.
Doesn't just apply to a fictional story about a badass samurai out for
Yes,
revenge.
it does.
It applies to us.
Yes, it does.
It applies to
No,
our
it
black
doesn't.
brothers and sisters of America.
No, it doesn't.
The Black Brothers and Sisters of America.
No.
Rise up and slash that
Believe it or not, it's not a black man story. Okay, it explores humanity in general. The cycle of violence is terrible. Revenge is terrible for anyone. It so happens that the main character is black. Yeah, that's cool and everything, but it doesn't have it's not uniquely black. It's not like going into what you want, what the woke people want black characters to explore. Okay, it's just a cool samurai who happens to be black going through a very emotional, very powerful, enlightening story about revenge, the cycle of revenge, and the cycle of violence. And that's what it is. That's in fact the very first fight. That's what the very first fight revolves around. The fact that
it's a story about racism, obviously.
yeah, obviously somewhere in there it's about racism somehow, about the black brothers and sisters in America somehow. I guess somehow.
I don't think it's a coincidence that the antagonist is a white guy. Wait, what? Excuse me?
Isn't that exactly
Sorry?
what you would want in one of those like racial justice?
Yeah, that's what these people do. Like, they think that, oh, if the antagonist was a black guy, they would say that wasn't a coincidence either, and that the show was racist.
I just have fun with it, man. Just it's fine. Like whatever.
No
Cut
one
up-
can ever be anything.
I just love that, like in my imagination, what I think of in terms of creative storytelling and stuff, anything is possible. And then they're like, okay, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. I'm like, fuck you, it's my imagination. You know.
Ow! Shut up, Will.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not trying to be offensive.
I
with
want that right
anything.
now.
I-
Someone just crack this guy in the back of the head because he's fucking stupid. Right now.
Shut
Behind
up,
his
Will.
behind his chair.
I just, it's like, man, if I went to some of my black friends and I was like, hey man, isn't it weird that like the villain in Afro Samurai was a white guy? They'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? What are you doing? They would genuinely be like, that's not, like, what do you mean? And I would be like, I don't know. It's somebody told me. I don't know what to do with it.
They're bringing in race and other aspects that they want to bring in that was not even remotely explored in the movie. There's kind of attaching it because it's convenient.
You know,
I
it's
guess I just don't
racist that the
understand 'cause I'm a
character.
stupid white man or something.
You know, it's racist that the characters in manga are only white with black outlines. We want characters black with white outlines. We want equality.
Exactly.
So stupid.
And this is actually detrimental to the message of the movie. Both of them. He's trying to make it go from a universal message about how a cycle of violence is wrong and how you pursuing your revenge will cost you everything you ultimately will care about, ultimately everything that's important to you. Because again, getting revenge does not bring Dan back as dad. It's just more killing. And so ultimately, it's a story about how pursuing this with such fervor that pursuing revenge with such fervor, Justice loses his humanity by the time you see him again. He's this immortal god thing. And you're going to lose all the things that make you human, all the things that are important to you when you pursue something this horrible. And it goes from a universal message like that to him making it a racial one that just pertains to a certain race of people. So it's really detrimental to the show.
So shallow. It's so shallow by comparison.
Yeah, he smashes the substance and replaces it with nothing. He just fills it. Basically, you have a deep pool that is Afro Samurai, and he fills that deep pool in to make it shallow. Whereas instead of a deep view on the cycle of revenge, cycle of violence, and sacrificing your humanity for something that's ultimately worthless, instead he just makes it a racial thing.
Yeah,
he stabs holes in the side of
just
this.
flew right over his head.
Like all leaks out.
He's right though about one thing.
What's that?
Afro Samurai is black.
That is true.
That is the only correct thing he said in this entire video. I'm
That part is
assuming.
undeniable. Yeah.
That's the only objectively correct thing.
Why couldn't we cover something a bit more fun?
Because Afro
Because
Samurai
this
is
is a
awesome.
torture dungeon.
Because this guy is shit, and he needs to know that he's shit.
He's the same.
It's fun to me because I've actually met RZA before. I have
you did?
a funny story because he worked on a TV show that I was working on at the time, and
kinda
he was
wanna be
cool
him too.
enough to actually. I had a friend who wanted to be a rapper at the time, so I got him, and he came onto the set, and then we had a cipher. So it was me with something that I wrote, my friend freestyling, RZA, a guy named Chuch. Lil Chuch, and then one of the dudes in the posse, the retinue or whatever, was a little person, and the little person was dressed up and had a haircut like Mr. T for some reason, and I never figured it out, but he was there and he was freestyling. So that was my RZA experience. He liked one line that I said when I was rapping, which was, "Turn this wine back to water so I can exit this denial." I thought he thought that was kind of cute, but it was fun. And he's a cool dude. And then, I just find that interesting because it's like, man, I wonder if I went up to him and I said, "Hey, man, isn't it weird that the Justice is a white man?" Like, what the fuck you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
Don't make any damn sense.
I never heard RZA talk about that. I never heard RZA. I never heard Samuel Jackson mention any sort of race. They just said that this is a black character. That's cool, and that's why they're interested. That was it. That was absolutely it.
Yo, Glim, you need to get your ginseng up, man. I got this green tea.
This guy is doing the same thing they did with Kingdom Come Deliverance. The NPCs tried to shut down the game because there were no black people in the game, even though it's based on the medieval history, way before even black people were discovered to exist. And they're complaining there are no representation for black people. Go to your home, you cracker, and smoke something.
We're apparently we live in a post-fact society. I think that's what they said.
Yeah,
they say that now. Fact society.
They said something like that. I think it was according to one of those war movies. I forgot which one it was, but they were mad that they didn't have enough representation, so they said that we should move past historical accuracy. That's basically what they said. Are
you kidding me?
No, that's actually what they said. That these movies are racist because they were historically accurate. That's damaging because historical accuracy isn't good enough anymore. We have to rewrite history essentially.
They were racist because they were accurate.
Pretty much, yeah. In the age of Trump.
They basically just want you to be wrong.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's pretty much it.
Now, today, people of color have been in a constant, never-ending battle in our country since its foundation.
We get
a battle
it.
for
You
freedom,
hate yourself.
for equality,
You want us
and
to
for
hate
their lives.
ourselves.
This hierarchy and symbolism in Afro Samurai is huge, and losing oneself is what happens when you battle perceived justice alone. Now, look, I've been in trial.
It's like while he's saying all that stuff,
the emotional music
in my mind.
I know, it's
mine
very
is like cute anime girls doing dances
so
to whatever
bad.
music.
This
so
note that was made
bad.
in Japan, right? Japanese anime.
No, I have no idea, man. I don't know. It's a multinational awesome TV show, and he's all like, here, let me tell you, black people really matter to me because black people, white people, black people. Can't you hear my intonation and my sincerity? This is really important because people's lives are at stake every day on the line, right? And you're like, so what are you gonna do about it? Talk about an anime.
This is my important voice. Now I'm going to do this to make sure I emphasize how sorry I actually am about all the racism in the world.
We have to do something about it together, and only by spreading awareness to every single racist thing that I make up in my head. That's the only way we're going to get through this.
Isn't he like 10 more
people? Fighting what we hate, but saying what we love.
Exactly.
No, so we go for this is killing everyone.
And he needs like 10 more people so he can say, "We're in this together. We're in this together. We're in this together."
God, I don't want to hear that.
And then they all have to start singing this song together at the end of it. Yeah. We are the world, except for white people. We are the children, except for your white kids.
Yeah, he's putting racism racist where nothing of race exists.
Yeah.
Oh, glory.
I'm gonna say this is going to be exactly the same thing that black people are saying, but why is he the one telling us that it's racist when he's the white privileged man? You fucking hypocrite.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird white people. It's not black people. It's weird white people.
And to be fair, it's weird. There's weirdos
are rebelling against the nation.
Every single weirdo is the same in every race. So it's not just a race thing. It's people that are like have the same idea, and they're crazy. It's just like you meet the same kinds of people in every community. It's just that each community is a little different. So
they're uneducated and manipulated by media.
But we got to get through this because we're only like at 8 minutes, and I feel like if there's more time, this has to get crazier, right?
Yeah, let's just get through and go. How fucking.
Oh my god! That much is left of this prick.
Yeah, it's on for a while. Yeah.
Hey, agent.
trying to talk about the history, to talk about the suffering that people of African descent have gone through for hundreds of years all over the world, from South America all the way to Asia. But first of all, there's so much, and coming from me, it just kind of sounds rhetorical. I know the history, you should know the history, and the people that history impacts the most know that history.
Okay, why are you bringing up Afro Samurai if all you want to do is just go on a tirade about racism in America or whatever?
You just said the word history 3 times in one sentence.
Why history. Why has he got that like stupid like concern music playing in the background when he could be playing some badass hip hop beats or something, or like I don't know, anything?
If you're like one of those commercials into donating to save some pets or something. Like if you donate to, like I feel like at the end of this little speech he's going to give, he's going to end it with, if you donate $1 today, you can save 1 life.
Save 1 black man.
Donate, well, you can save one African child from dying.
He's like, what's this crazy cracker on here doing? What
Donate
the fuck?
$1. You can take this sandwich from this white boy and give it to this black boy. Get the fuck away from me.
I'm like, hey, you know what? That sounds like a good idea, but I'm gonna do something else.
As Drake Padula says, send this to Mahler. This is some EFAP bait if I ever seen it.
Yeah.
I think Mahler would like this one.
And no, I don't think so, because he doesn't really watch anime and get into this kind of content.
So KH Mushroom 2, what is this? What's this? I felt like it's so out of context. It is out of context.
Dude,
he starts off talking about Afro Samurai, and then he goes on to this weird tirade about.
So here's the thing.
This is the Quentin maneuver.
Yeah,
exactly. You hit the nail on the head, Shiny.
He wanted to attach Afro Samurai to his videos so that people would listen to his tirade. Otherwise, people wouldn't listen to him. That's it. He's just using Afro Samurai. He's using Afro Samurai to trick people into listening to him.
They should do that with porn movies on Pornhub. Like you click on it, you think someone's gonna get undressed or whatever, and then all of a sudden you have some weird guy with a neck tattoo, with like the Save the Animals music in the background. In the arms of the angels. Afro Samurai was really good, but white people.
Surprised he didn't name the video Afro Samurai Fight the White.
It is the porn, but the commentary is just him talking over it.
That'd be so good. Oh man, that's so good.
Nova Zero, then we should 5. Bringing about change with free speech means sometimes you need to take liberty to shut up before you cheapen the word. Wait, is he going to cry? Oh man.
Oh Jesus.
I'm so done with the pain in the world today.
I think he might start crying. I think I wouldn't put it past him actually. And
it's always like buttery, like black culture. To be honest, with people that have been around it, and it's not this soft.
No, it's awesome.
This is cringy compared to black culture. So, man, I don't know. It's just depressing.
There's a reason why Afro Samurai exists. The reason why Samurai Champloo exists, because the Japanese creators, they love hip hop culture. They love these ideas that come from out of the black community. They want to encompass them into their own works. There's a reason for that. Not because it's weakness, because it's strength, because it's fantastic, it's creativity. That's why they use it. That's why Afro Samurai exists. It wasn't a commentary on racial prejudice in America. It was because a Japanese guy really likes the.
It didn't even have anything to do with America.
Let's be real though. Anime and Japanese culture and art, in this context, this kind of thing is all about exploring other stuff. Like Japanese people will come up with insane combinations of other cultures' concepts. Like there's no way that any non-Japanese culture would come up with the Metal Gear series. Like who would come up with that? Who would come up with Tanya or whatever? Like some of these concepts, like the isekai,
Super Mario, an Italian plumber made by the Japanese who
looks like a Mexican guy, and he jumps like a black guy.
And he's a plumber, but you never see him doing any plumbing stuff. It's only because they have those pipes. It's like pretty much.
Like
very flexible.
Gypsy.
So it's interesting on that level, and then also on the same level, you have the respect going the other direction, where you have Magruder making the Boondocks, and he's a black guy, and he's contracting Koreans to make his stuff. It's like something in between there is showing like that the free market and the interest in art and the interest in hearing other people's stories is more powerful than any prejudice or anything. I think curiosity is more powerful than prejudice. So I'm not one of these people that are seeing racism everywhere, because it's like, you know, I understand how animals and human beings work on that level where you ever see like a, you know, and I have this inside myself. Like you ever see an animal that you've never really encountered before? You're like, how am I going to befriend this animal? How am I going to befriend a dog or whatever like that? That's genuinely, I think, more powerful than the fear that I would have for the dog. That would be a question of how you position yourself with other beings. Are you fearful of other beings? Are you fearful of animals, human beings, internet personas, or are you more curious and interested? And then what do you want to do with that? Do you want to create art, or do you want to criticize it and tear it down? Or try
I think
to,
it all comes down to maybe it's like the need to control people out of fear of the unknown versus the need to explore out of curiosity. So it's like certain creators, they just want to explore things and they want to move forward and expand upon everything that they can to tell a captivating story, which is kind of what their job is, isn't it?
Well,
but
it's like,
then you have these others that they don't want to do that. They just want to control people.
I was just going to say, Literature Devil said before, bread tubers only make one type of video, and people that are curious make all sorts of stuff. But the thing is that being experimental and creative, sometimes you run into things that those people that only make one type of thing see are falling out of line. Since you're falling out of their goalposts, you're making a mistake. Oh, this character's this race, this character's this. Meanwhile, your intention might have been to tell a really detailed, rich story, or maybe it was just because that was what you picked that day. They're all speculating. That's the number one thing I hate about criticism on the internet. I hate about the culture of critique or critical theory or any of these things. Is it's all mostly speculation. And instead of admitting that you don't know and you're speculating, people are like, no, we know though. But we really know. Like you're like, someone's ulterior motives. Like, yeah, of course we know. I've seen his Twitter. He's total fascist. I mean, come on.
And bread tubers don't even make one type
or
of
a quasi-fascist, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah. Bread tubers don't even make one type of video. They make one video and they just exchange the pop culture reference with a new one. So instead of these guys who don't like The Last Jedi, they're all bigots, and here's why. And these guys who don't like Last of Us 2, they're bigots, and here's why.
You don't like Hard, this is why you're a bigot. Oh, Afro Samurai, that represents racism. Like they're all just saying the same thing using different references to say it.
Oh, you don't like Shrek 3? You have to die, bro. You're going to gulag.
It's not one type of video. It's just one video. They exchange what they're talking about. They say the exact same stuff every time.
Every time.
You're a bigot because blah 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 blah. Whatever. You're a bigot because you don't like a different thing. That's it. KH Distinguished 5. Wait. Since when the hairstyle of Afro confined to only black? What is this misappropriation? Am I missing something here? Yeah.
Anybody who has coiled hair is going to get an Afro, man. That's just the way it is.
If you're a white person with cornrows, they've actually said that that's racist.
That's the cornrows shit really bothers me because cornrows are so convenient for people that have long hair that need to like shorten it, and it's a cool looking hairstyle. But to be honest, I don't think I've seen a white guy that looks good with cornrows.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just good taste. It's not cultural appropriation.
But to say that you can't have a hairstyle because it's cultural appropriation. It doesn't matter if you look good in it or not, because I agree. It's like, yeah, it doesn't look good on like white people, I suppose. But it's still the idea is like you can't have this thing because you are not this race. That's cultural appropriation. It's like, okay, well, does that mean you can't have the light bulb because it was invented by a white man?
Braiding hair is not racial. People need to get off. It's just the lens thing. They need to take off the lens and try and look at reality without a bias.
I'm not a racist thing, but he has a punchable face, and you guys can't deny it. The way he looks, I just want to punch him, and I bet you guys too.
Well,
I don't.
I'll tell you an actual story from this perspective. Okay, my dad was Hispanic. I think he came from Mexico. So the thing is, when he was going to school, he went to school in America, and the thing is, usually the Hispanic kids, they took tacos to school, like in the lunch kit, and as my grandma told me, they tried to hide the fact they were eating tacos. So they would eat tacos and just cover it with their hand, so because if they didn't, they would kind of be made fun of. 'Cause that's what kids do. It's different.
Right.
When tacos became sort of a larger thing, more popular, it made a lot of Hispanic people feel safer because now their culture is being spread everywhere, and now they could eat tacos out in the open. They could eat tacos with their white friends, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But however, before that all happened, when there was no appropriation, when the so-called quote unquote evil white man wasn't eating tacos. Okay, it was clear. All the Hispanic kids were hiding the fact that they're eating tacos. That's how they made food. But like I said, when it became widespread, they felt safer.
So all you have to do to take over America is feed them tacos.
Pretty much.
America should have no right to exist. Long live the Queen. Glory to the British Empire. And
what accent is that? That doesn't sound British.
Well, I mean,
I
food
made
is
it. What
the
are you giving me?
safest topic when you think about it. Like, food is how you. It's a big part of how you establish culture because, I mean, it's the only topic that literally everyone can talk about because everybody's got to eat. Whereas you talk about sex, you can't talk about that with kids because that's, I mean, obviously. When you talk about food, you can talk about that with everybody. Now, when you talk about everybody has to go to the bathroom, but again, that's not always appropriate to talk about. So the only thing that every human being does it's always appropriate to talk about is food. That's why so many advertisements talking about food. That's why when you see a character on the TV screen, often a prop that they're holding will be food, or they'll be ordering at a restaurant to engage in conversation with another character. Or when you're at a sports event and the commercial for the sports event is everyone's eating pretzels and popcorn and stuff, because food, it's a big part of cultural appropriation. I don't know how we got here.
I hate the term appropriation. Just let everybody eat all your food. Who cares?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, that's my point. That's what I'm saying.
Anybody who talks about cultural appropriation better not be doing it in my English language. That's my ancestors' language.
What better way to get people to accept other people's cultures than to accept the food?
Share them.
Yeah, share the culture. It used to be.
By the way,
like a hairstyle to hijab in my class, and it was really stupid. It's like, oh well, it's like you wouldn't steal someone's hijab, would you? It's like, what the fuck? That's a religious that's a religious thing. That's not a. You're trying to compare a hairstyle, which is just purely aesthetic, and which is just it's not any significant in a religious sense.
Let's see, Tyler Preston, thank you much for the 5. Will you do a response to one of Chud Lodging's videos?
Did you see that?
Woke British Anglo-Saxon like Lava Chan who hates anti-SJW?
I'd be down to do it if I can do a British accent the whole time.
Chud Logic. Maybe we'll do that on a Smudcast. I think we're going to wrap
please,
here.
no.
I think we know what this guy's going to say. He tricked us. This is clickbait. He's not talking about anything remotely concerning Afro Samurai except for the first half of this video. But when we get to the meat of this video, it's just another thing entirely. He's trying to attach race to Afro Samurai so he can attach his tirade to Afro Samurai for some reason.
On a more positive note, back to the food thing. Have any of you guys seen that video of the people that were actually from China trying Panda Express and loving it?
They did.
They were like, this is nothing like Chinese food. They're like, is that a bad? They're like, no, this is amazing.
No, because
like,
nobody really knows what it's like in China except for people that have been there, and the actual reports of that stuff will blow your mind. You'll be like, wait, where did that chicken come from? Oh, it came from a farm. Nobody knows. There's no FDA here really that's doing anything. That water could be contaminated. Nobody knows where this.
Are you really sure it's a chicken?
25% of the beer that's served in China is fake.
What the fuck? What kind of fucking animals to fake beer? I'm gonna.
Well, hold on a minute. What are they drinking?
They're drinking they're drinking something that has chemicals in it that is made to make you drunk, but it's like formaldehyde and stuff. Anyway, so they have like fake wine, fake also. They have a lot of fake stuff in China and almost no safety measures. Plus, the way that the culture is set up is all about disposability. The way that they have a a limited amount of Western foods because people can't afford them. The markup for Western foods is amazing. If you want to get Doritos, they are more overpriced in the local currency than the local food. And the like I said, since all the local food is basically produced by local people and local farmers that are not affiliated with like the FDA or anything, they're sold in local markets. People eat it. That's mostly Chinese food. Even the foreign food in China is just Chinese food. That's the crazy thing. So like you can't really get a good hamburger in China, even if you go to a McDonald's or whatever. You know, you can't really get a good pizza. It's
That's
not, the culture
crazy.
is not set up to be a tourist culture. So the whole thing of Chinese people leaving and being tourists and doing whatever they do. You know, you see a lot of videos of tourists. Like, you ever see those Chinese videos where all these people are at the buffet and they're taking everything? Because the culture there doesn't have that ability for you to have that. They would never give you that opportunity there. And yet we're so used to buffets that are supposed to be from other cultures that don't even have buffets or whatever. Or they're amazed at the food quality because we actually have a standard set that's higher. You know, people get excited about it. So the real reality is what people need to look into instead of just like going off of the minimal amount of knowledge people have on it. It's the world is crazy out there, man.
Yeah, but I think that a very good idea would be, what's wrong with sharing in someone else's culture? I mean, that's what kind of America was built on. That's how you accept, because people are kind of wary and they kind of demonize things they don't understand. What better way to start understanding things, other cultures, than to sample the food? See, sample the culture, because food is kind of one of the aspects and elements that usually exists at the heart of various cultures.
And it's the most universal point of discussion.
Yeah.
Because anyone can talk about it. Children can talk about it. Adults can talk about it. People that play video games can talk about it. People that play sports can talk about it. Doesn't matter who you are, you still got to eat.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a good way,
and it's always appropriate to talk about it.
Absolutely, and it's a good way to get people to share and indulge and experience in a foreign culture they've never experienced before.
Exactly.
That's how you get people to understand, and that's how you break down these divides. Not putting up new divides where you can't do something because you're not the right race or the right culture.
I really want to do one of these Chud Logic videos because he feel like I'm looking at the anti-me, like you're looking at an antimatter particle or something like that. It's like if this is like what my sub box looks like, but without all of the text on it. It's like instead of it being like Sargon meme face, I'm like, oh, it's like a COD Daily video. Oh, you know, here's a video from Jeremy. Here's a video from Steven Crowder and Computing Forever. It's like, but he's in attack mode, and I love it. It's fantastic, and it's all completely illegitimate and illogical. You know what I mean? It's like imagine debating someone's political compass and making a 40-minute video about it or something like that. I know that's a long man bad, but wow, that's bizarre content.
DGM Voices. What's wrong with is progressive want ethno-states just as badly as ethno-stakes?
Oh man,
the only difference is that it's socially acceptable to be progressive, whereas everyone knows that being a white supremacist is fucked up.
Yeah,
that's the difference. That's why people go so far left, because it isn't obvious to them when they're wrong. Because you can flat out hate white people and you'll get away with it for a little while before someone lets you know that it's a little bit fucked up. And then by that point, you're so far gone that you're just going to be like, no, fuck you. I'm going to keep hating white people. Whereas if someone hates black people, they're probably going to figure out it's a little fucked up after a couple weeks, because it's so socially acceptable to be far left as opposed to the alternative.
This is true.
It's a KH in the 5. While here in Singapore, we shrug off racism like a joke. I think that's how most people see it. That's how most countries see it. It's like, oh,
I think
yeah,
Singapore still has its cultural and national identity, so you guys are lucky for that. There's still like a sense of responsibility for each other in that you're all beholden to the same thing.
Well,
that's what I've witnessed.
Yeah, right now having responsibility is the counterculture.
It actually kind of is.
Like it's not the easiest place, I know, but what I'm trying to get at is that there is like the thing that's falling apart right now in Western culture is this idea that like you're even participating in your nation and that you have the law, you understand the laws, and that it all makes sense. People, they're trying to make it not make sense. And when I say they, it's like the people that are trying to burn down buildings and statues and stuff to like want to destroy everything. It's because most people are so inundated with being in the entertainment sphere. I feel like that they're not even interacting with the mechanisms that give them power, so they feel powerless. Like anybody can in America can go and be in their city council. Anybody can do that. You can go and get a law degree. You can go and be whatever you want to be. Nobody is legitimately trying to stop you. That's the most hilarious part of it.
It's just that we're all consistently being told, like the media insists that there is someone consistently stopping us.
Maybe it's the
from
media
doing anything. Yeah.
Whoever controls the media is trying to mess with my brains, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What the fuck? What?
That was so funny because it sounds like he's really far away from his microphone all the time, so you just hear, what the fuck? I almost thought it was part of the video or something for a second.
Okay, bronies, are you ready to admit you have a Nazi problem? According to this, you are. You're ready to admit that bronies are Nazis. There's been a hidden like alt-right movement since the very beginning.
To me,
what is this?
To me, they want to create. They want to create a dialectic to invent Nazis. They want to make people finally go, all right, you know what? I am racist, even though they're not racist. They're just exhausted. They're not Nazis. They want to hammer home this idea that people that are not Antifa.
It's a status game. It's a status game because if they can't defeat you in the argument, then the moment that the second that someone calls you something is the moment that they've already admitted they've lost the argument, because that's when they're immediately giving up the ship, where it's like, okay, I can't defeat this person at their logical argument. I can't stand up against their logos, so to speak. So I'm going to immediately convey to the audience that he's not a credible source of information. That way his argument doesn't count. They can't defeat your argument with logic, so they need the argument to not count. So they try to override it by demonizing the messenger of the information. And now what the fuck am I looking at?
Furry Nazis.
Thank you.
Bronies with freaking laser beams attached to their heads.
Well, according to this,
I would actually take laser vision. It would be a useful tool.
According to this, the My Little Pony fans are ready to admit. They're ready. They come out and said, "Okay, we're ready. We're going to finally
come out of the closet."
They're ready to admit that they have been Nazis this entire time. You like Twilight Sparkle? You're a Nazi. You're a Nazi.
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 I think that's a hilarious point to stop the stream on. So I'm going to stop the stream there.
Sounds good.
Going on 3.5 hours almost. It was pretty good. Well, thank you, Best Chat, for joining me today. That was awesome. I hope you all had a wonderful time. Thank you, Agent Yokai Zero. Thank you, Gary Stu. Thank you, Shiny and Glib.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Well, Shiny, we're gonna have to leave your basement. Enjoy it here. We're gonna lock you for another week.
It's always an honor to be here.
Awesome. Well, all right, everyone. All right, chat. Thank you for joining us. Hope you had an awesome day so far, an awesome time during the stream, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you all